It's the Bennington Show. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
And I am Ron Bennington, and completely stumped on today's morning song.
That was the Molics, and this is their new record. I think it's called America's Velvet something. Anyway, it's No Control is the song.
Yeah, I picked that up from the fucking lazy refrain there. No control, no control. But it sounds very 1980s college radio.
I don't. It's like a little bit of 80s, a little bit of the British invasion sound.
Well, I didn't even think I wasn't going back because I was thinking either a kind of an 80s Minneapolis thing, or maybe early 90s Runaway Train. Our train's running away.
Smash or trash.
Yeah. I'm telling you, the hook kind of bummed me out. I love the rest of it, but I hated the lazy hook. So I'm going to give it a light smash.
A light smash.
Yeah. Chris?
Smash.
And Vito?
I'm going to go trash.
No, you're just saying that to bring some attention to yourself.
I didn't like, I wanted something with with more faster and
more faster.
Pumped up. That was a bad word phrase.
I wanted something with more faster. You wanted a little attention. Now you got it. Now you're sweating with your hands. Faster's in there. What a dope. No control of his tongue. But sometimes, he thinks to himself, "Oh, if I'm the contrarian, I'll be able to stay on the air." But he wasn't listening to that song at all. You could tell immediately with his, and I'm going to call this lightly a critique. I wanted something with a more fast on it, just a mo fast.
It was fast, but I'm looking for mo fast.
I was looking for something more songy.
The problem with the Mo Faster is Mo Problems.
Yeah, Mo Fast and Mo Problems, y'all. Big football weekend. Green Bay Packers shocked the world by going into Dallas and having what I would consider the first and only good playoff game of the entire time. There's a lot of controversy surrounding Mr. Chris Stanley, both online and in my circles, because he claims he switched his bet from Cowboys to Packers, and some people are saying you only did it on one show.
No, I did it on Friday's show.
Did you make a point of I'm switching my bet, or you just said two different things?
No, on Friday I said I'm going to change. We said it's okay to change. I said, all right, I'm going Packers. The day before I said Cowboys, I said Packers on Friday.
Does that stand for you? Are you okay with it?
I couldn't care less about it, but I did notice that there was some controversy. Hell of a game. All right, what's your picks for next week? No switching now.
No switchies?
Yeah.
Give me the Green Bay Packers. Give me the Patriots.
I think I'm going to go just the opposite of him. I think the Patriots looked very rusty against a shitty team. And I'm saying that, and they eventually won by, 18?
Yeah, they covered.
Wait, what's the Patriots game? It's Patriots.
Steelers.
Patriots.
Yeah. And then I think Matty Ice is going to break through. I think he's going to break through his own ice, the ice of his own forming.
I still don't trust it.
I'm just hoping he goes faster. Well, a lot of people get into this. The Falcons do this every year. Yeah, but it's a different Falcons team. People forget most of the time you almost start at ground zero with these teams. Okay. And I see.
What?
You're just like, yeah, you do. But you're like, I don't know why they're talking about football again.
There's only 3 games left.
McCain just said that Putin is a thug and a butcher. I feel bad for butchers every time they have to bring that up.
They're like, hey, I butch meat.
No control. Yeah, I just think, that thing with the Packers. Everyone's bringing up the last play, but they fucking let a team back in.
Yeah.
And they're going to be playing, I think, a better offense and a better defense than they played this week.
Oh, I mean, Matty Ice is going to, it's going to be a shootout. Everyone's saying it's one of the highest overs in playoff history. It's 56 or something.
It doesn't even seem that high to me.
I know. I was like, that's really the highest? Has it always been that close?
Richard, Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I don't know, man. Just doing a show.
Yeah, no, I just had to chime in because you guys were talking about that tune you played, which was actually a pretty cool tune.
Yeah.
but it's totally 60s psychedelic garage, man. You guys got to get familiar with your Nuggets compilations.
Oh, God, thanks. Everything's annoying me today.
And then
you know what I like about the Packers? That story that came out that Aaron Rodgers sent all of his family's Christmas presents back to them.
That is a really harsh move. Like, not even opened. They're just like, I'm sending them back. This is a message. I don't want your gifts.
That's saying I want zero contact.
That's great.
Now, the thing is, a lot of people are saying like, oh, they you don't know what goes on in other people's families. And I'll tell you something else about this whole parent thing. People have to treat each other kindly. There's no reason that you should have to take shit your whole life just because someone gave birth to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
They still should. We don't know what he goes through.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're probably not nickel and dime him. I think he could put up with that. You know what I mean? He's making some money. But there might be something. I mean, maybe they called him Lurch the whole time he was younger. I don't know.
There could be a story that's not for the public. Like, I have a friend who, she doesn't speak to her mom anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And people, like, immediately if somebody asks her, she's like, yeah, we're not really on speaking terms. Like, you gotta speak to your mom again. I'm like, who would say that before you know the reason or, you know,
because
I don't pry on it.
That's the fucking cliche. Because the cliche is nothing is more important than family. And that is true, except for sometimes.
Right.
And then it's not true at all.
That is if you have a nice family.
Yes. But for some reason, a lot of family people don't believe that they should be decent to the other family people. That's just a fact. And we've known there are certain aunts that we had to put up because our parents had different relationships than we did. We just thought of them as a mean old person. And, you know, your mom's like, no, something fucking happened. Don't just put up with it. And you do. But the closer it gets to you, the less that you should. I have a friend, all he ever did is bitched about his mom. He never said a kind thing about his mom, and then he would jump constantly for his mom. And I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah, sometimes.
Don't do it.
But that's like the kind of stuff that there's no way to sit there and figure out why. Like the need to psychoanalyze that and go, well, let's see, like, what is it about your mom? You gotta let people do what they're gonna do. Like, you've gotta know that people are an expert on their own family.
Aaron Rodgers is living in a town of 100,000 people. I personally think that that's harder than if he was the Los Angeles quarterback or the New York quarterback. Because he's probably had to meet every single person who's a fan of that team. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like he is the big high school fucking quarterback. That has got to be a pain in the ass to live in Green Bay, where you can't ever just go be like, oh, I can't do that thing. You know what I mean? Like, here, like, if you're in New York City, yeah, there's tons of press and everything, but there's also tons of stars that take some of the heat off you. There's one fucking star in Green Bay, right? So this guy's got to show up for birthday parties. If one of the fucking guys is sick, who is a season ticket holder, he probably has to go visit him. I'm not even making this up. This is fucking unbearable. He's got a fucking city that he's related to.
So you think it would be easier to be a quarterback in a big city where people don't necessarily, like, would you rather that where people necessarily are not live and die by their football team versus...
Yes. Green Bay, football is a religion, and you're the pastor of a small church. Not of a giant church where people have other things to do. You know, how many fucking sports are in New York or Philadelphia or Boston? There's plenty of things for people to focus on. Green Bay, they're just like, man, remember, we got the Packers game. Remember the Packers.
Yeah, because at that point, it's not even about the anger of fans. It's just the pure disappointment. Like, you've heard us.
Well, the fact is there's just not enough there. You know what I mean? Like, everyone in Green Bay has probably seen this guy at a fucking red light at least, you know? We don't run across Eli. Eli could walk down fucking Broadway. He's won 2 fucking rings. And he could easily walk down Broadway without being stopped.
He could probably walk by me and go, that guy's familiar.
He's tall.
Everybody in Green Bay knows this kid. They fucking give him advice wherever he goes. They're, you know, they're sitting there going, you gotta fucking look off Jordy every once in a while. There's plenty of other guys open. He's like, yeah, I know, Paul.
Cobb's there.
I know. I understand. You're right. Anyway, nice talking to you again. I'm just gonna check out of the supermarket, but thank you for that. So he's got family. He's surrounded by fucking fake Green Bay family. The fact he doesn't get along with his own family, that's his fucking business. Everyone's going, oh, maybe it's his chick. I don't know if it's his chick. Why would we even assume that? Everyone just assumes his chick does it. His chick was him all to himself.
It's because of his brother, Jordan Rogers, and him showing up on that reality show and then bringing it up.
Oh, yeah, he was a bachelor?
That's the thing, but it happened before then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the reason why people bring it up is because of The Bachelor.
Yeah, I think he was actually the one to break the story. Like, I'm his brother, but we're not really on speaking terms.
And you know what? That kid has a right to that story. You know what I mean? That's his. I don't fucking understand. I don't understand why we should fix it, but I guess if they want me to, I will. All right, Bennington show on a Tuesday, post MLK Day. Everybody had a nice long weekend. It's raining and warm in the city today. We're getting a brand new president on Friday. I don't know whether they're going to, from what I understand, I don't want to start any rumors, he's going to make the kids go to school in the summer.
What?
That's what I used to hear all the time when I was a kid. Whoever one of the people was, if he's elected, we're going to have to go to school in the summer. That was always the big urban myth.
I always kind of liked the idea of it, like more frequent breaks and spreading it out. Like, it's only because coming back from summer vacation was so depressing.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. But I think there's always talk about more of it, but the fucking fact of the matter is, when I was a kid in the summer, you were just kind of let loose. Like, go ahead. Go enjoy your summer. But now they're afraid that children will be grabbed and fucking snatched and everything. So they have to come up with activities with adults watching them at all times. Maybe we should do, 6 weeks on, 2 weeks off. I don't know, the teachers, it would be up to the teachers knowing what it takes to get a kid into a groove. You know what I mean? Because maybe if they did it the way that you're saying it, the teachers know for the first fucking 3-4 days it's bedlam, and then for the last 3-4 days it's bedlam, so we're not getting anything out of it. You gotta understand how a dumb kid thinks.
I remember coming back from summer vacation and feeling like my brain was like jelly. Like, I couldn't remember any of the basic stuff that I had learned from the year before. Like, you're just looking at a paper, you're like, I don't remember math. What is this again?
All I remember was having shoes on since I hucked Finn the entire summer. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And my clothes smelled new. Like that weird new clothes smell.
These pants are so stiff.
What are they, corduroy? What is my mom doing? Because when I was little, I remember the clothes being just as much as a surprise to me than to anyone. I go, wow, is this a new shirt? Yeah, I got that at Spears. I got that for you at Spears. Hey, Brian, in Texas.
Hey, when you talk about Aaron Rodgers, I was thinking of Dazed and Confused and Randall Pink Floyd at the baseball game when the old man comes up to him and is like, is that arm ready to throw for 2,000 yards this summer?
That's what he's got to do, man. And I told Aaron Rodgers, you got to do what Randall Pink Floyd wants to do, man.
Rodgers is not signing that paper.
He might play, but right now it's all about Aerosmith tickets.
My loser friends.
Yeah. And the coach was right. He did have loser friends, but he also had a fucking loser coach.
And I'll never sign that.
Yeah, dude,
I might play.
Yeah. Why don't you just sign it not paying any attention to it?
That's what I would do. Yep.
Why don't you realize that you just lie to the adults and then go about your life?
Yeah. I mean, this is a win-win. They get their paper, you get to play.
Right.
And you get to party all night long.
Like you were Kiss. Eric in Colorado.
Hey, Bennington. So when I moved to Colorado in '79, the school district I went to was one of the largest in the country. And there were so many kids there that we were on a track system. And you went 4 months on, 2 months off, year round. And, it was actually kind of nice because you usually got one break, depending on which track. You would get one break in the middle of summer and one break in the middle of winter. Or you might get one right at spring, summer, and one right at fall, winter. It was kind of nice.
It sounds pretty nice. And 2 months is a good fucking clip. You know what I mean?
I'm telling you, it really was. That was actually pretty nice.
I mean, summer's only 3 months.
Yeah.
Now, would you still get, let's suppose, would you be stuck with Christmas week and just getting Christmas off?
Yeah, you would get, like at Christmas time, if your track was on, you would get 1 week off, usually from the 23rd through the 2nd, you would be off. And at Thanksgiving, you would only have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off.
So it's pretty choice.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think you avoid mush brain.
Well, and in my case, I was originally from Ohio, and all my family was back there. So those 2 months that I was off, my parents would throw me on a plane and send me back to my grandparents, and they'd get 2 months of freedom, and twice a year.
That sounds like your parents didn't love you very much.
I wasn't going to say it, but this call got sad.
There was never any time I felt like I needed freedom from my children. Oh my God, I have freedom now. I wonder what they're going to be like, how big they'll be when they come back.
Why are these parents allowing them to oppress them in this manner?
That sounds a little bit like what we call in New York City, Jew parents, who get rid of their children every summer.
Oh, yeah. I remember asking you and my mom when I was a kid, hey, how come I don't go to sleepaway camp? Because I loved the movie Meatballs, and I was like, I want to have a summer adventure. Why don't I go to sleepaway camp? And you said, because we love you. That's why. Because we like you and we want to keep you around. And I'm like, well, that's a good point.
I don't want to see you on that one Parents' Day and then find out if that your fucking kickball teams are champions.
You've grown so much. Well, we'll be back in a few weeks to pick you up.
I never really got that at all. There's a gambler who is turning the world upside down. He started with a $300 bet. All right, so what happened is the Packers were in terrible shape earlier this year. Looked like they weren't even going to make the playoffs. And Aaron Rodgers, mom hater that he is, said, to me, it looks like all we need to do is run the table, win every game for the rest of the year. And he said it nonchalantly like he always does. So this gambler's just felt like he's got a little connection. He puts down $300, wins it, lets it ride. He's done 8 straight games. Is that betting him straight up, or what is the
money line? He's betting money line.
What does that mean?
Give us the background.
I think I'm not sure because he said, all right, he bet 300.
You're supposed to be a gambler, right?
He's not betting against the spreads, so he's just betting the straight up win.
That's what I said all before we even got to money line. So he's betting him straight up no matter what happens. He's taken that fucking 300 and he's rolled it up to $28,000.
Holy shit.
And guess what? Next game?
Yeah.
He's going to let it ride.
They have to win.
Oh
ride, would you let it ride? This fucking guy who apparently isn't, rich, is just letting it ride, pulling a trotter from the great film, in my opinion, greatest gambling film of all time.
I love that movie.
It's about a magical day at the track. I can't remember what Trotter's first name was. Is it Jake Trotter or something like that? It's some short name, but everybody calls him Trotter. Might be Dave Trotter. Everybody just calls him Trotter. And he comes in, and he's a fucking piece of shit, and he just keeps letting it ride all day. And it's getting fucking crazy money is coming down. Because he's never had a good day in his life. This dude, now he feels like he's just playing with, found money. But to put a $28,000 bet down when you're used to putting $300 bets down is fucking insane.
It's insane.
I love this guy. It's Jay Trotter, by the way. It was Jay Trotter. Is this to win $73,000 if it comes in?
And then you know what he's going to do, right?
Let it ride.
He's going to let it ride.
He's going to let it ride.
This guy's the man.
I hope he has a Jennifer Tilly in his life.
He's going
to a tight red dress.
Well, remember, he never really did anything with her.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Was she with,
She was with some scumbag.
Yeah.
An older dude.
But she just did her bouncing tits.
Which we all enjoy.
But Trotter was actually with Terry Garr.
Oh, that's right,
who was
Terry
home
Garr.
sleeping in the middle of the day. I don't even understand that part of it. I don't know how he would leave the track, go check on. But the thing I loved about Trotter reminds me of Mitchell Walters. He's constantly doing math in his head all the time. Hey, JT.
Hey, buddies.
Yeah.
Hey, I like the guy's idea, 4 months on, 2 months off, but what if there's 2 months spell during, like, football season? You didn't get to play football, or how does sports work?
Yeah, I'm sure you could just go and play football if you want to. Wouldn't it be better if you were playing football and you're not in school then?
Yeah.
You know, you just focus on football for 2 months?
Those kids would probably always be the best because it's like the only thing they have to worry about.
I bet they try to keep sports teams on certain tracks. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, look, you want to play basketball, you got to be on this fucking track. And that way, we have 2 months together without worrying about schoolwork at all. That'd be fucking fantastic. But it's always funny, like, when people bring up, like, any kind of alternative schools, they're always like, what about the football team? What about prom? Those are the two things. And guess what? No one remembers prom. If you remember prom, you were some kind of nerd that didn't get fucked up.
I have no memory of prom. I just have no memory of it. Like, I remember the basics of, like, the beginning of the night. I don't know what happened. And a few years ago, somebody told a funny story about prom. And I was like, oh, I don't remember that. And they're like, you were there. Like, you were totally there. And I'm like, oh, yeah. I just remember it being, like, a dull night. Like, it wasn't like, because it was, like, wild and I had so much fun. I was like, I just remember it being just really dull.
We got into a limo. Okay, great. You got into a rented car. How's that any different than a jitney?
I just took a cab.
We took a jitney to fucking, it was unbelievable. We danced to Only Just Begun. I don't know why, but we have these weird things. Like, first of all, I'm going to guarantee you, I'm going to say 10 years. Write this down, everybody.
All right.
In 10 years, there will be no such thing as high school football. There's no reason for the schools to have ever, promoted this thing. And the insurance money is going to be crazy on it. So if you want to play football, you'll play outside of school, which I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah.
It's not like you really represent the school in any way.
Not even, it feels like it's becoming more and more accepted, the risk of injury for someone so young. Cause it's
accepted?
Like, no, that it's becoming more, discussed. Like, it's more of a concern.
Well, it's a concern at every level.
Yeah.
It's actually going down to that level. But, cause they're saying that, you could still have fucking brain problems. Why should the school district think, we'll put ourselves up for a big insurance case? It's only going to take one insurance case before all the schools, because public schools are always in budget problems, always. And when I was a kid, people showed up for high school football games. They don't anymore. It's just matters to the parents, just like it was a wrestling meet, Matter of fact, you'd be better if you had mixed martial arts as a high school thing.
I would love that.
The octagon, just getting them out there, finding out who's the guy who wins 7th grade. Obama just dropped in at the last press briefing. There he is. I have never seen a president in my life getting the send-off that Obama's. Normally, if you look back over the presidents that we've had, there's either been a terrible scandal at the end, or their approval rating was just shit. In the case, all right, let's just go back last time. Bush's approval rating was so bad he didn't even help. Clinton was wrapped up in a scandal. Before that, Bush tried to run and was defeated. So that was a very sad end of a presidency where, like,
it's very abrupt.
You guys didn't even pick me. Like, so the last week, had to be like, I know you guys didn't want me, but I wanted to be here. Reagan had mental problems. He, he was kind of being hidden from the general public, and also Iran-Contra. Jimmy Carter before that was fucked over by the United States. They didn't want him. He had an early Bush thing. So that was a sad last week. Gerald Ford not voted in by the public. Same thing. Fuck you, fuck sticks. That was his last word. Fuck you, fuck sticks. I tried everything. Nixon went out in the middle of the night holding onto a fucking helicopter while angry fucking villagers chased him with a torch. Johnson had the war, and that was, brutal. And he wasn't going to run, and then started to grow his hair long. We said goodbye to JFK with a bullet. So Eisenhower is probably the last guy who left with any kind of a good mood. And even then, he didn't hand it over to a fellow, Republican, which, I guess he should have. So Eisenhower would have been the last.
Yeah, and this is like an incredible, not only is there like good feelings about him, it's like a really emotional last couple weeks. Like even the press is very clearly nostalgic. And
yeah, but you know what? You can't put this person in history yet. Everyone's trying to do the last 8 years in history. It's not time to do that. You know what I mean? You have no idea what the way history is going to view this. It's almost a waste of time. But, he wasn't incredibly close with the press, for them to even feel this way. It's a very odd thing. But there you have it. That's the United States of America. We're odd. We're odd people.
We're weird.
We're the weird neighbor down at the end of the street.
And no matter what, there's like still a strange thing where Obama having won by the margin that he did, and then my mind always just there's crossover. There are Obama supporters who then voted for Trump.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It goes to show you how unpredictable all this was, because you couldn't imagine two people they feel so different.
But sometimes people want something different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people are just we tried one thing, let's try the other. I mean, the upside of Trump is pretty interesting. What could come out of this?
Right.
If he handles it well? The upside is complete progress. It's a complete progressive thing, because we're going to step away from the status quo. The downside is kind of frightening to people, but that's what happens when you roll the dice. You know what I mean? You said we want something different.
But yeah, something different, but yet it didn't seem to affect Obama's approval rating. If we had been in a position where it's Obama had been doing well for a long time, but then his approval rating completely dropped, Trump would have seemed like a logical next step. So it still seems strange that people are I love Obama and I can't wait for Trump. There are people
absolutely
who are in that position.
But again, I think that a lot of times, we get into this left-right thing, and a lot of times we just pick by personality. And it's not a terrible thing to say, I want to pick some guy who I think can get some things done. You know what I mean? A lot of, even the people that like Obama very much have got to admit that he doesn't have the energy or the edginess that Trump brings to the table. Trump brings something to the table that we've never seen before, or at least in a long time, and that's some kind of a weird cowboy spirit. And that's exciting, whether you like him or not.
Or at the very least, a crazy putty who's a rebound girl.
Now, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. So, I've been hanging out at the stand lately, right? Comics go up. They're killing or whatever. They bring up Trump, and there's almost dead silence. There's not big reactions yet. People would almost rather not be dealing with this thought. And I think it's because they're not sure what the hell is going to happen.
Yeah, everything still seems so unknown. If you were somebody who was not a Trump supporter, was not a Trump voter, I think there's still an element of shell shock. And for those who did, they
want to stay quiet.
I think they want to stay quiet.
But they're not. If you watch Seth Meyers or Jimmy Fallon, everyone's like, has big feelings about it.
Mm-hmm.
But when there's no TV cameras around, people are just dead quiet. It's like, I don't know. I can't believe you brought that up. You know?
It's tense.
Like, you could be doing fucking any kind of kid rape jokes, and people are just rolling along like, this is just tighten up, which is terribly exciting because now it's going to make people, whether you're pro-Trump or anti-Trump, be somehow involved, not just every 4 years. I think you may see people get involved in issues. Or maybe this thing dies down and it's just a regular presidency, which is very possible. And not a single person will believe that now. But if you look back to the Bush years, let's say, whether you were very pro-war, anti-war, it's all kind of forgotten. You know, it's all kind of forgotten. No one's sitting around going, I'm so angry that I believed Bush and now I believe in Trump that it was a bad idea and we were lied to.
Yeah.
You know, people will not take the long-term responsibility. It's why you never run into people going, oh, I was so racist before. I tried to stop black people from coming to the school. You never see that person. You know, now that the years gone by, I saw how wrong I am. You would think that there was never a single person who did a racist thing.
No, no one comes to being on the wrong side of history.
No one. No one has ever said, I don't know why. Look, you take a look at Trump. He was the guy who got out of the Vietnam War by saying he had bone spurs in his heels, right? His fucking heels look great now at 70. It looked like he could go off to war if he wanted to. And there isn't a single person who go, how is he going to lead the troops when he himself, when he was called upon, faked bone spurs? Clinton got out of it. There was always things about George Bush's family putting him in the National Guard. That was always the important thing that you could do during that war if you had any kind of spoils. Let's get our kid into the National Guard. And that way he can be here in case Ohio tries to attack. He'll be able to stop them. You know?
He's very busy here.
But that never came up. Not even a single time. And they were asking about the bone spurs. He said he couldn't remember what foot it was in. And why the bone spurs? What does that even mean? You can't march? There wasn't a lot of marching in Vietnam.
I don't even really know what bone spurs are, but it almost sounds made up like brain cloud.
Yeah, it is.
It's like I've got a bone spur. My bones are pretty much spurs, so.
No, it's just like you get this one thing in your heel, I think. You know what I mean? Like, you hear about it, I think, in sports sometimes. Somebody's got to take a week off of bone spurs. But, you know, people did not react. They didn't care. These are things that at one time a nation would have been transfixed upon. They didn't care about this time.
Yeah, I know that you were thinking it's possible that it could die out and it could turn into this is what the norm is and we just go on to a regular presidency that has highs and lows just like anyone. But it does feel like because of how present in conversation and the media that it's a hard to believe it'll die out because I've never felt like an election was this discussed. I've never felt like a president-elect was
Al Gore and George Bush. That was fucking 7 fucking hanging chads. We acted like the republic will never be the same. And, there was the attack and Bush suddenly had an 87% approval rating because you have nothing else to do. So there's all kinds, but also you forget people fought all through Jimmy Carter. Right. People fought even through Ronald Reagan. People remember Ronald Reagan like he was beloved. He kind of didn't even get beloved until he was shot. Even the Republicans weren't crazy about him. They're like, him? Again? He's run every fucking year. We say no to him every year. I mean, I think he started like in the 60s wanting to be president and didn't get there till 1980. Here's another thing that's interesting. This is the oldest president that we've ever elected. Never comes up. His health and stability never comes up. He's 70.
Yeah.
You know, he looks terrific and he's got incredible energy, but people don't sit around and talk about that.
Yeah, and I think that has something to do with his personality and his energy. Like, I don't think he reads as old as some of the people who were close to his age who have run before, where they were like having a conversation.
Seemed old.
Reagan seemed old.
The thing about Trump, though, this is the first president that I ever remember people discussing, do you think he's a Manchurian candidate? Why? I mean, I don't know whether you saw Putin today coming out in defense of Donald Trump, but it was fucking straight crazy talk. Putin sitting there going, how dare they say these things about this man? And you're just like, wow, we're in a weird fucking scene, man, where these guys apparently like, no one knows why they like each other so much. They've never met. They've never met. And so, I mean, you know, my entire life, Russia's been on the other side. And now people are like, well, this is one of the worst Russia's ever been. And we got a president who, you know, doesn't seem, he's picked Russia over the CIA. Over the fucking CIA. This is exciting times we're living in, folks.
It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts.
But you don't, I know, you know, you voted against him and all, but you don't even think that this could have an upside in some way? Like, hey, this is a whole new way of doing politics.
It's hard to imagine. And maybe that's just the rawness or the newness of it still. But the only positive I've been thinking about is the kind of energy that tends to happen when somebody opposes a person or an idea. It's really hard for me to imagine, but it doesn't mean I'm rooting against it. You know what I mean? Like, I will be pleasantly surprised if we start having positive outcomes from this presidency.
By the way, Dan Fox wrote, I live in Green Bay and I've never seen hashtag number 12 at a red light or anywhere else in town for that matter, because there's not really much of a town there. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's 115,000 people. That's how many people we have in this building that we're in right now. And I'm not even making that up. We put a million people in Times Square for a party. 1 million. 10 times more than live in the entire city limits. So you can get out of, Green Bay pretty quick. I don't know. I can't imagine playing in that small of a market. Imagine if fucking Trump was just the president of 100,000 people. That's what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is Aaron Rodgers is Donald Trump. Well, every movie is being compared to Donald Trump now. Every fucking story, people are like, that's just like Donald Trump, really. I mean, this is basically a reflection of the times that we're living in.
Trump, right?
There's this stupid Ray Kroc movie out, and people are bringing it up as, this is what Trump did to everybody. He basically went out there, stole an idea, and sold hamburgers to everybody. Well, because there was an absolute change, Chris, in attitude in the late 50s, early 60s of the humility and the importance of money in this country. And now it's not even debated on how important money is. But money is the only important thing in this country. But there was a time where it was frowned upon, and it was seen as looking pretty shitty. You driving around in your big car. You look like a fucking idiot. I mean, people are like, and I mean, I still do it. When I see somebody that's living in a ridiculously big house, I think it's like watching a man eat an entire ham at one sitting. You have the money to do it, but should you? You know what I mean? Isn't it, you know what? We're making so much money. Instead of drinking water, we just drink chocolate syrup all day long. That's the kind of money I have.
You sound so rich.
We're very rich. I'm washing it down all the time. But that's the fucking thing. If you look at some people with money now, they look like they're drinking chocolate syrup and eating an entire ham at one sitting. And Trump is one of those guys who he had gold-plated seat belts put into a fucking airplane. there was a time where you would be called minority rich for living like that. Not the head of the country. These seatbelts, they should be gold-plated, correct?
Right.
I mean, that's something like the leader of Libya would have done. And no one even brings that up. It's just considered okay.
Well, the thing that is one that always stands out to me is articles in, those kind of like rag magazines or websites where they're just going through celebrities and the cost of their engagement rings.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, like, I guess this is interesting. Like, I'm going to have a look at this. And then they're like, at no point does anyone go, hey, this is a little much, don't you think? Like, those are never, those articles are never told from the angle of, this is preposterous that this is the way they spend their money. It's always like, isn't this nice for her?
Well, because the articles are written by people who work for a corporation that sells ads to buy stuff. Yeah. Right? So everything is about acquiring stuff. But let's suppose that you were in the 80s and you acquired a bunch of stuff. Look back at that stuff now. Junk. You know what I mean?
This junk.
It looks like shit. You're like, why would it? Like, watch the movie Wall Street and he's making a big deal about having a fucking sushi fucking rice maker and it looks like shit. You watch them, you're like, what a shitty meal you're enjoying. And the stuff that they're putting, like, they're putting up the fake walls in the house to make it fake brick. And it looks like shit. And that's what happened as time goes by. The way that you live, the stuff that you think is cool becomes ridiculous.
Yeah. And Trump's aesthetic, too, especially lends itself to that because he is actually cartoon rich. Like the style of
it's like Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, like exactly. He seems like he should be swimming in gold coins. Like, but just the aesthetic, not the truth of it, not what he actually has.
But his casual clothes, he looks like Judge Smales. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you're at the golf course and you're in your stupid white pants, and you just.
But his penthouse suite looks like someone's like old Italian grandma's like, I'll make this nice. Like what, like that idea of just like gold stuff and smoked glass.
Right.
And you're like,
smoked glass. Look, this is marble. Ooh, okay. But no one brings it up. No one's going to bitch about it because we're like, we have bought into money is everything. Everything in this country. Every fucking measurement that you could have. It's not whether you're living, are you providing a service to your fellow man? It's like if you found out somebody made some shitty fucking product and then you found that, well, we do it on Shark Tank. They come out there with shitty products and the people laugh, the investors will laugh. And then if they talk about their markup and their profit, they lean forward and like, I want to get involved.
Right.
I want to sell people shitty products. We love watching QVC. It's just, we're excited to see, oh, look how much they're selling. There was a fucking movie about a woman who makes shitty products and, sells it and now sits in the last scene was her sitting in a big office and we were supposed to feel happy. And we got the biggest movie star that we have today to play that part. And the movie is shit. And the moral of the movie is fucking wacky. People love it. Look how much money they made. And how often do you see something like, well, that's a shitty movie, Transformers, but look how much money it made.
And also that we never are in a place of resentment for people like that. Like,
never.
For example, I always love this thing that was like kind of early on when the Harry Potter book series had broke. So this is pre-movies and, J.K. Rowling was doing a book tour in the U.S. and she was talking about the difference by the way, American readers were greeting her. And she was like, for example, this woman ran up to me and just grabbed me and said, I'm so glad you're rich. And she's like, that's so not a British thing to be thinking. Right. But it's like we like to, I mean, even now, when you tell me of the gambler who took $300 and now he's got $28,000, I'm like, oh God, that's exciting. Like we like to, not only do we like to think of ourselves getting money, but we're happy to think about other people getting money. Because deep down we're like, that could be me. That could have been my 300.
Watch the Tony Robbins documentary He's been doing the same fucking story from the 80s, right? And he talks about now he lives in this and this, and all he does, his only real purpose is to tell that story so people believe that they can get rich. But unless they have his exact same job, you know what I mean? He hasn't taught us anything about actually creating something. And even the technologies, the things that he does to think better, none of them are his. They're just gathered from different places. But there's no apparent reason for people to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to go to this fucking show other than keep hearing the same story that I think he's been telling since like 88, 89.
And most of them are basic self-help, kind of like the strength comes within you. I mean, a lot of that stuff.
But also just light hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming, stuff that's available for you for $10.
Right.
Not the thousands of dollars to hear about it over the weekend. I mean, you could pick up things on how to do self-hypnosis. Very fun. You can probably do it for free on the internet.
Well, I was thinking, I'm trying to remember his name, but he is a screenwriter who teaches courses on and writes books on, the perfect screenplay.
Yeah, adaptation. They did a parody.
Yeah, exactly. And they're lessons that you can find other places. And a lot of them involve, logic of storytelling and just paying attention to other. But people pay a ton of money to hear stuff that, like, there's a bunch of books written on this exact
because they
thing.
need to be motivated. Everyone loves the coach. I think Vito probably sent in the Little League coach thing. And you look at it and you see that it's completely fake. There's no realness to this thing at all. It's made up. But people love the idea of a coach. Everyone's furious that Antonio Brown was fucking live Facebooking while his coach was talking. They're furious. They're like, why isn't he sitting there listening to the coach? He needs to listen to his coach. He had something like 5 straight games where he went over 100 yards. He's the fucking best player that they have. And everyone is furious with him now because while the coach was talking, he wasn't sitting there on one knee. He had his fucking thing. I was making faces like Antonio Brown doing his shit, y'all. We didn't score any touchdowns today. There's the fucking thing about football that's so stupid. You have 2 teams playing in a game. One scores 2 touchdowns, the other scores 0. Who wins? The fucking team that scored 0. That's your game.
It was fucking terrible.
And a referee deciding the game himself on a holding call. Ridiculous. Terrible fucking game. And, the Steelers are a great franchise that's been around since the beginning. They've got the championships. And it kind of taints them to see them move ahead like this.
It was really just a nasty game. That's why I don't think they're going to get past the Patriots. I mean, they couldn't score a touchdown on the road.
But that's not the only reason. They're also playing Tom Brady.
That's not going to help anything.
You don't think they're due to score some touchdowns now after none last week? I mean, the probability starts to hook up with you.
I think they'll score 1 touchdown. I mean, the Patriots defense is fucking good. It's not as bad as everyone says it is.
Who's everyone? I'm looking around, it's just me and you.
I've never said that, Chris.
I thought I heard you.
Please don't put words in my mouth.
You were talking shit about their secondary.
Putin said those people spreading false statements about Trump are worse than prostitutes.
Hey, what's wrong with prostitutes?
He really hates prostitutes.
Yeah, he does.
The prostitutes that we did not hire, by the way.
He also said something about their prostitutes are the best in the world. The most attractive in the world.
But still worse than most humans.
No, yeah. Still worse than the press. Eric, Colorado. What's up, Eric?
Hey, Bennington. So you brought up Tony Robbins. Here's another one that's almost the same thing. Dave Ramsey. He's worth millions, and he's made almost all of his money from selling financial self-help books. And he's also put religion into it as part of his twist. And when you listen to if you listen to his radio show, 98% of what he talks about is common sense financial stuff that you can get on the internet. And if you attack him for it, it's hilarious the way his people will fight back. It's almost like going after O&A or Stern, the way some of these people are so rabid in defending him.
Well, yeah.
But it's all common sense.
Yeah. But, common sense ain't as common as people let on. This week's Gail Meets Girls.
Yes, it's up now. You can download it at the Interrobang, or you can go to iTunes to subscribe and download. It's a great episode. Emma Willman and Carly Aquilino join me.
What do they get into this week?
Let's see. We get into a couple of things. We talk about college audiences and crazy hell gigs with college audiences. Talk about getting your break kind of early, jealousy that happens among comics. Yeah, it's a negative.
I think there's a lot of people have a lot of different.
This is what I've come to understand, because when I first heard it, I was like, I thought it was like your side piece. And then you were saying that it was like almost like a bro. Vito told me it's like specific to a haircut. I don't know what it is, but Carly uses it like bitch. It's like he's a fuckboy.
I've been watching Annie Lederman's stuff. She's on that heavy metal tour.
Uh-huh.
And I think on her, look, there they are.
Oh, man, is that her? Is she with Lisa, too? Yeah.
And then she put up a thing of Lisa's bathing suit, right? And just look at the tits on her. I mean, Lisa's tits are just amazing.
I need to see this.
You got to find the Instagram, Chris, because this is just the, we're going merely right here just off the Snapchat. Look at her.
Damn, girl.
I know.
Look at Lisa's tits, OMG.
That's a good friend.
All right, we'll link that on our Twitter. They're hilarious together.
They're so funny. That was the second episode I did with Annie and Lisa, and they're very funny together, and I think they feed off each other very well.
Now, they're on that heavy metal tour that, Jay's doing, and one of the bands is Avatar, and that guy put in the sound at my comedy club.
Really?
While they were Avatar. While they were a big rock and roll band, they still needed side gigs to do.
That's nuts.
Yeah. It
was great sound.
Thank you very much. He actually did do a bang up job. And was very reasonable. Very reasonable.
Highly recommend.
Yeah.
5-star review.
Look, we'll have one more day to get on the list for Nick DiPaolo tickets, but they went fast as hell. So we'll just make, sometimes people drop out. So make sure you head on over to the iBang for Nick DiPaolo. Everybody at the stand is excited about coming in there because Nick is like a legend there. Like the staff just loves him. Everybody gets the biggest kick out of him. But also I heard from Patrick that he wants to he was listening to our show when we did Street Jokes, and he wants us to bring it to the stand.
That would be awesome. That would be so great.
I was like, I should, because he always books the stand about a month in advance. He is the blessed booker there. These shows, I'm telling you, I never see anybody have a bad set. And he's got just fucking gunners coming in there, one after another. And to follow like Roy Wood Jr. last night, doing a 7-minute fucking bit on racism that didn't have a breath. Just bam, 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 everything it takes. All the dedication you need to be a racist. Who else was there last night? I'm trying to think of this show. There was just, like, every time I turn around, there's just phenomenal acts night after night. But, like, at first I'm like, no, we got to do it on the air a couple of times. And then I'm like, why? Why do we? We know what we're doing with it. Why don't we break here? All right. We'll be back in a minute. This is Bennington. The Bennington Show. Oh, yeah, got him. Thanks. I had to take a little Advil for my brain.
I know. Headache.
Yeah.
Headache.
What are you going to do? It's winter.
I know.
You know? Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus shutting down after all these years. Just when I was up to play ringmaster, looked like it was going to finally happen. I think it was 136 years that kind of entertainment ran until we decided, no, it's too ancient. It's too dumb.
It would be, for that many years, it would be a little heartbreaking for that to be on your watch.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the one who let Ringling Brothers die.
Well, it's been a slow thing. It's been going on for years. I mean, first of all, there's a lot of other things to do. When you started Ringling Brothers, there was nothing to do. People would sit around and think, in another 8 months, Ringling Brothers is going to be here. Don't forget, Ringling Brothers is coming. Save your money. People would save their money.
There may be a famine now, but...
Yeah. It would be considered like a vacation going to that. I saw it when I was a kid, and I was very disappointed because I wasn't in the Big Ten. I saw it in a building. And I'm like, this blows.
I think the first time I ever saw it was in a building, and I had a similar feeling where I'm like, I don't really get the point. But the second time I saw it, I was a little older, and I was taking a little cousin that was in a Big Tent. I was like, this is pretty legit.
Was it Ringling Brothers?
I don't know if it was Ringling Brothers.
That's the thing. It's gotta be Ringling Brothers.
I think it was like a different, a different outfit.
You ever seen it, Chris?
Oh yeah, multiple times as a little kid. I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
As a child. I feel like I went to a tent, but at the same time, I feel like I was in Manhattan.
I bet you went to the Big Apple.
Yeah,
you didn't go to Ringling Brothers. See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
People don't realize that just because it's a circus, it isn't Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey. What about you?
I went to Big Apple and I went to Ringling Bros. Ringling Bros. I always went to Nassau Coliseum.
I can't believe that you call them Ringling Bros. As if they were
he's in a rush.
Because of bros, you know, like, hey, come on in, man. We get a lot of broads here. So everybody has seen it.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, people aren't interested in this, but I can't imagine what their expenses are at travel. You know what I mean? Like that expense alone must be just neck breaking. And I don't know who they run the elephants through the streets of New York for every year. That might be Big Apple, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think
they run them through the tunnel.
Yeah, they go through the tunnel. Exactly. It might be Ringling, actually. But when did they do away with elephants? Is that their demise?
A couple years ago.
Yeah.
Couple years ago. Because PETA and people like that. I mean, really, here's the thing. Seeing an elephant is an amazing thing. Why they need to do a trick for you is beyond me.
They are elephants, so they've got that going for them.
I saw a bear riding a unicycle. And what they did, they put a spike through the bottom, right through his little paws.
Oh, no!
And he's like, the whole time you're saying, it was like, ah! The kids are like, he's riding a unicycle.
Yeah, I don't know what it would be like if you're a little kid and you want to see an elephant live in person, but you're like, yeah, but he's not on a tiny ball, so I'm not going to enjoy it.
I would love it. I mean, to me, if they really wanted to make this circus exciting, bring the lion out and shoot him in the forehead in front of the children.
Let him
Your only chance to see that.
It'll go viral.
Literally your only chance to see that take place.
It worked for that dentist. I mean, he blew the fuck up when he killed that lion.
He blew the fuck up. Now, by that, you mean that he got popular. Because he did not get popular, Chris. People hated him.
He was not, it wasn't a good popularity. It didn't do well for his business.
It's like, we were talking about money. That the only time people care about, the viral thing, they don't care whether it's positive or negative. Chris is like, it worked for that dentist. He blew the fuck up with death threats, people retweeting.
There's some bad Yelp reviews of his business.
What, when you were a kid and you went to the circus, what was the thing that you wanted to see? Was it about the animals? Was it like performers?
Not me. Not
Clowns?
me. Nope. I love to see the flying fucking people on the trapeze.
Yeah.
And I even like the wire walker. I found clowns to be the dullest thing, followed by I could give a shit about what other animal you're bringing out here.
You know how like people will say, oh, you know, what's the age? Like, is the kid too old to get a clown? I remember never liking clowns.
Me too.
And not because I was afraid. It's not like one of those stereotypes where I was just like terrified of them. I never liked them. And I don't remember a time that I didn't feel like, I wish this guy wasn't here. Like preschool birthday parties and just feeling like, yeah, if this guy could just leave, we could get back to like playing and doing like kid stuff.
Yeah, he's not entertaining.
He made us all sit down.
He doesn't terrify me, but he also doesn't excite me, and I don't need a fucking hat made out of balloons. And what I really want to do is run. Now, trapeze.
Trapeze is fantastic.
Unbelievable. Fantastic.
And the tightrope, was the thing that when I was a kid, I would think about, like, of all the jobs, I was like, I think I could learn that.
I saw the tightrope guy fall, hang on to it above us, and swing himself back up. And now that I'm adult, I'm like, oh, I wonder if that was a work. Right. And he just fell on purpose.
Cheap pop.
But it didn't come close to seeing somebody let go of a trapeze, fly across, and grab into somebody else's arms. I thought that was fantastic. I could give a shit about the other stuff.
That one I loved, but even as a kid, I was like, I know I'll never have the upper body strength for that. I kind of saw myself as like a umbrella lady on the tightrope.
Well, here's the thing. You can enjoy things that you're not going to do yourself.
But that was part of the fantasy for me as a kid, was imagining being part of the circus.
I'm going to tell you right now, you don't have the circus spirit.
You don't think so?
You're not a show must go on person.
I feel like I am.
You're like, remember everybody, we got a 3-day weekend coming up. Put it in your calendars. We're taking off. There's no breaks.
I'm not Martin Luther King. That wasn't my idea.
There's no breaks in the circus schedule. They work every fucking day they can. And everybody has to help put up the tent. Everybody. And that includes you, ma'am. You know what I mean? Like there's always some queen that thinks she's too good to put up the circus tent. No, you're not. So the circus, at least on that level, is gone.
But it lives on.
I don't think so. I think it's just the end.
Shit.
I mean, there's going to be little shitty circuses, but the fact of the matter is people don't want a circus, you know? They don't care about the circus anymore. And, you know, at one point, everybody thought the saddest thing in the world was the sideshow going away. Because the sideshow was human oddities, which I always found way more fascinating than animals. And then that got saw as a negative thing. So that's gone. People aren't sitting around going, man, I wish there was a good freak show.
I really wish that I could see a little person.
I would love to see someone bite the head off a chicken right now, but you can't do it.
I found out that one of the Coney Island strongmen is my neighbor and lives in my building. That's fucking really weird.
You gotta live somewhere, Chris.
They do. They belong.
Yeah, he's out in my basement just bending metal.
I went to high school with the former Coney Island sword swallower. Nice. Now she's on to other things. I mean, she's still swallowing swords, but not for them.
She's swallowing dick. Oh, she's just going out as the freelance sword swallower?
Yeah. But she used to be the Coney Island sword swallower.
Yeah, the Coney Island had its own gimmick for, probably 100 years.
Yeah.
Like that, where they would have freaks and stuff. But, the stuff that they're doing now, it is closer to regular people with a job than it was.
Yeah. Everybody there is more stunt-based. You know what I mean? Like the fire eaters, sword swallowers.
Fire eating is amazing to me.
It's pretty
fire
intense.
Breathing, any of that stuff. You do swallow a little bit of the kerosene every time. There's nothing you do about it. Who's the magician that does stunt stuff now?
David Blaine.
Yeah. He's one of the last that has that full-time bullshit gimmick going. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to end. I kind of admire him for that.
Still willing to shoot himself in the mouth for a trick.
Yeah, I wish he wouldn't do that one.
Yeah.
But I love some of the other stuff that he does, but that one is just too risky and too stupid.
It's too crazy. Watching him even set that trick up, I was so nervous.
This is an interesting story out, and you can go to the iBang to check this out. But there's a guy who is online, and he's always talking about rock and roll gear and stuff. And he says the new Eddie Van Halen is Taylor Swift, in the way that when Eddie Van Halen started to shred in the 70s, every young boy went out to play guitar. And he says now, because of Taylor Swift, there are more young female guitar players taking lessons than there are male guitar players.
That's wild. First of all, I wasn't even thinking. I forgot she does play guitar. It's like, so normally I just think of her as just like a regular pop star, but I guess she does.
Well, she started as a country act.
Right.
And she is a songwriter and a musician.
But I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, I still think that that's a really neat thing. Like, anytime somebody has that kind of influence, like you wouldn't expect it to have on a generation, like a bunch of little girls thinking, oh yeah, I want to be like her. It's kind of a positive.
I don't even think it's it's a definite positive. It's a definite positive that she would go out and get people to play guitar, but the fact that he hasn't seen such a boom since Eddie Van Halen is shocking.
Like there was nobody in between who young people like.
I mean, obviously there are people that probably made people want to go out and get a DJ set up. You know what I mean?
Right.
But as far as playing a musical instrument, no. Taylor Swift.
I'm trying to think of what was the reason, like what was the breaking point for me when I was in high school that I wanted to learn guitar. Like there must have been one artist that did that for me. But I can't pinpoint who it was. Like, I must have said, oh, if this person does that, I want to be like them. There's like a subconscious thing that happens.
Chris, who's the person made you want to become a derelict, alcoholic, drug addict gambler?
My father.
Oh, that's sweet.
Right?
That's really
You were
sweet.
MIA all weekend. Nobody had heard from you or saw any prep. You're the leader, the producing leader. So dating weekend?
Oh yeah, long dating weekend, yeah. Saturday night I met back up again with the girl with the boyfriend. And she said she got back together with her boyfriend last week and then broke up with him again. And then I met the another girl last night.
No one?
No, it was a girl that I've gone on a few dates with before.
The blonde?
No, brunette.
Well, let's see her, because I forget her.
There you go.
I just know the blonde.
But yeah, the blonde again on Saturday. Seems it's like a Saturday thing for me.
I think it's fine to have, I think the rule is you're allowed to have one blonde and brunette. Just like, it doesn't count. I have two different hair colors. I need both.
I don't know what we're looking at here, but you're not getting new dates, huh?
Oh no, I got something lined up for tomorrow.
Okay. He's become Tinder boy.
He really is. I mean, he's out there taking out his choppers.
There was a fucking Tinder whacked out couple at the stand, right? And she was... Did I ever see her before?
Yeah, I think so.
There's been so many, we're starting to forget.
They're piling up.
I don't think so. I don't think we've ever seen this one.
Let me see.
She's kind of nerdy cool.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. I like her.
No, we've never seen her. I don't recognize her at all.
So we had a dinner date last night.
Very nice.
Where'd you guys go?
Cosme? It's over on in the 20s on the east side.
They said Cosby.
Does kind of sound like Cosby.
Have you guys seen this Tinder? It's similar to like a Tinder app, dating app, but it's just specifically for threesomes.
Yeah, I think we put that up on the iBang the other day.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing, which when I was swiping around for Chris, I actually saw one where I was like, oh, this is weird. That's a dude. Why is a dude on here? And then I swiped again and saw the chick. So they were trying to do that because they didn't have that app, I'm guessing. But they were trying to just put their threesome on Tinder. Now there's a place, it's just for threes. Just for curious folks.
I think everybody is, like, if you look at two chicks and a guy, it's almost seen as normal today, that kind of threesome. Two dudes and a chick is basically a gangbang. There's no way to get around it.
Yeah.
That's a gangbang.
It seems like a less gentle combination.
I feel like it's running train, not a gangbang. I think multiple dudes, like more than two, like.
You're there at the same time makes it a gangbang. Running train, somebody's watching fucking TV.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, and then the other guy comes out and goes like this. Chuck, your turn.
Yeah.
You're on.
Toot, your turn.
But train doesn't happen at the same time.
Oh, it's just one after another.
Yeah, I don't think like you're all just running train at once. That's not how a train works.
No, that's
train,
a gangbang.
Each car is perfectly in line here.
Right. The cars don't know the other cars. They're not there with the other cars.
The other cars don't rub dicks with the other cars.
Thank you.
See, I've been confused about this for years. I've been calling a train a gangbang and gangbang a train.
Well, a gangbang is a gangbang. That's it. The whole gang is banging.
Yeah. But I thought the gangbang one at a time, one after another. And then
no, that's not a gang.
I know. Now I've learned.
Yeah, the gang gets into it together.
Hey, Al in Maryland. Al, what's up?
Hey, kids. We were down at Nashville at the Country Music Hall of Fame last year, and there was they have an education hall there, and there was a bunch of kids in there. But there was a lot of, security around, so I asked the guy, what's going on? And he says, Taylor Swift is coming to visit this classroom. She pays for this education hall here, and they don't know she's coming. So we hung around a little bit. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan. I probably couldn't pull her out of a crowd, but we waited there, and she walked in. These little girls, mostly they were probably third or fourth grade little girls. They went bananas. They're crying, hysteric, weeping, all wanted to hug her. I never saw anything like it. It was kind of like,
when Rob Cross it was a few years ago, he took his little girl to go see Taylor Swift at the stadium, the football stadium. And he explained it the same way. And then he also said, I got to tell you the truth. It was an unbelievable show. He goes, she put on an unbelievable show for these kids.
Really?
Yeah. It was 80,000 kids there.
Now, I knew a group of people who were discussing, what was the big album, 1989?
89.
Yeah.
They were discussing this album, and they were, discussing it seriously. And I had to be are you guys being ironic? You listened to this album ironically? And they were saying to me, no, I swear, it's a pop album, so you have to, accept that. But for a pop album, they're it's actually a really great album.
I was here when she did a town hall, and the whole music department came down, and even the people from the indie stations, they're like, no, seriously, dude, listen to it. It's really good. I'm just I'm not gonna do that.
I don't know a lot of her stuff, but I'll tell you, Shake It Off is a really fun pop song. It's a great pop song for sure.
Yeah.
It has all those elements that you're that could be a pop song.
You don't get that big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just don't get that big without having something that connects with people. The fact this got started because little girls are taking guitar lessons all over the country. According to this guy who did the YouTube, who teaches, it's all Taylor Swift. It's 100% Taylor Swift. Now, we've seen this with skateboarding, right? That one guy, the kids will and for the next 5 years, people just go skateboarding because one guy grabbed them. We haven't had a new pop-up guy like that, right, in extreme sports.
No, not in a long time. Not since, Shaun White was the snowboarder, and right. I feel he got that kind of...
And then before him was Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk, who is a guy in his 40s, right?
Yeah.
But kids love him. Kids buy everything that he puts out. They're crazy about him. But Tony Hawk is a perfect example of kids see, and I gotta have a Tony Hawk thing. I can't just have something that doesn't say Tony Hawk on it.
It's some other jobber?
Mom, this doesn't even say Tony Hawk, and they throw it at the fucking door. You got me junk.
This is junk. This skateboard is junk.
Here's our friend Hardback Johnny. Johnny.
Yeah.
Benningtons.
Hey.
First of all, I was really upset about the circus thing. That is sad.
Why?
Because we used to always go to see the circus at Madison Square Garden when it would come every year as a kid. And it's just a very cool, that was when they used to have the menagerie, and you used to be able to walk, before the circus, you'd walk through where they had all the animals, and you'd be able to, see the elephants right there, and then go and watch the show. It was very cool.
But can you imagine, putting together shows, how expensive that had to be?
Oh yeah, and it's crazy the traveling element of it. And I'll tell you, it's one night coming home from a Ranger game, driving in New Jersey, right by the Meadowlands. The circus was there. Stopped, dead traffic stopped. all of a sudden they're literally, we're like, why is there a trap? Why can't anyone go? There's nothing ahead of us. And all of a sudden there literally goes the 6 or 8 elephants, however many they were walking them down the highway, taking them to the train because that's the only way they could really transport them because they're so big. And I literally was in a traffic jam because of a bunch of elephants in the middle of New Jersey. And it was the weirdest thing. And they start looking, you're like, just to think about renting a train and all that kind of stuff alone to move these massive animals and then the 300 to 400 other people that are the support network, it's got to be expensive.
Yes, unbelievable. And they're being protested every show because of those elephants for the last 20 years or more, you know?
Yeah.
And because it's not a normal thing for an elephant to be doing, walking down the highway in Jersey.
No, I guess not. No, probably not. And that's why the little circuses, like you said, those aren't going to survive either because, like, the Cole Brothers was one of those small regional circuses that would always go to the smaller towns. They would always have animals, and they would have the people standing out there protesting them.
Jenny, I hate to interrupt you, but the Star Baskets just stopped by.
Oh, my God, the best show ever. I can't wait.
Mr. Louis Anderson. So I'll talk to you later, pal.
Later.
Bye. Louis Anderson is here. Baskets premieres Thursday, January 19th, 10 o'clock on FX. Let's bring him in. Louis Anderson hating our chairs, and I don't blame you.
Chairs, they're not made. These chairs, they're too high. They're too high. Oh, they're crushing my balls. They're too high. They're too high. I wish they were lower. Hey, Colonel Parker.
The king, everybody.
Hey, I really good. Hey, I was having. Hey, bring Priscilla down. Slap her around a little.
You think about him every time you're in Vegas. It's still
Vegas.
Vegas, yeah.
You know, Elvis is I have a voice that works to go into that.
Yeah.
I can just go into it. Any of my his daughter. How long you been related? I guess you're his daughter. Oh, she's born. He's his daughter. Oh. Yeah, I can do that ad nauseum. But sometimes I'll be in the tub. I'm running in the tub. Elvis in the tub. Louis and Elvis in the tub. Yeah, we're all sugar. We're all wet. Sugar wet.
Hey, cool shirt too. The basket shirt. I didn't see it.
Yes, my friend made me that. Eric Orn from. He has a place up there in Portland.
Yeah.
Seattle.
Yeah.
Same place, different rain.
Well, I remember when we did the Unmasked in front of the audience.
Yes, we were
You were
Unmasked.
like, I don't know. I hope this show works. I hope people are going to like it. I'm like, I'm already hearing stuff. Now you're award-winning, all the stuff that...
Yeah, you got to play it like that. I knew it was great. He knew it was great. Yeah, I told him it was good. I told him to shut up.
That was such a fantastic day of the Unmasked, and I love that picture so much that we all took in the crowd.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. That is just so
Wasn't it a selfie
sweet.
that we
Yeah.
Wasn't that my idea?
That was your idea.
At the end of that,
It was my idea.
It was my idea.
It was a wonderful shot.
Yeah.
And people just like once, there it is. Look at that. God, I look, ugh. Don't you hate when you see yourself sometimes? What am I?
Everybody
the lead patient in this asylum here?
That's the thing. Everybody always looks normal but you in a picture.
Yeah, it's true.
Like,
that's really true, right?
Yeah.
And the great thing about that was it was all spontaneous and always heartfelt, and I think I was a little emotional in it too, I think.
Yeah.
Which always is good for people. People forget that we're human.
It's true, and you've always been connected to your mom. A lot of performers will just act like everything's great, but when things aren't great for you, you share it.
Oh, yeah. Even when I think it's good to share.
Mm-hmm.
Elvis never sure. He had his own limo, and then he'd make you ride in another one. Just Colonel Parker rode in it with him. They counted money in the back.
Every once in a while, Elvis would bully his friends who also worked for him. Get in here.
Get in here. Get in here, Red. Get your ass in here, Red. I'll tell you, you ever look at me like that again, I'll kick you out to you'll be working with Fabian.
Red and Fabian together.
Yeah. Red and Fabian. How does that sound? Does that sound good? Go out once a month at the most. I'm working every night. Yeah.
Have you
now pull my boots up?
Yeah.
Get them up there.
When you travel alone, do you travel with people or?
I travel alone mostly.
Yeah.
I like people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like people that travel with where I have to take care of them.
Right.
You know, they have come on the road to make my life easier, and I am helping them with something. And I go, I get immediately, like my father.
Yeah.
He just growled, you know, his discomfort with it. He'd see some friend of my mom's he didn't like and go, oh. He was a throaty guy. Oh, God. I'm sorry, sound man.
He's not even paying attention. Look at him.
Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah.
I thought he was in one of those booths.
Yeah, he's in a booth, but he's got one ear hooked in, and that's it.
He's one ear guy?
Yeah.
He's a one ear, he's a one ear engineer. He's a one engineer. Working on my first album, Blue White.
The lost Elvis song, The One-Eared Engineer.
One-eared engineer at the end of the pen. He lost in this kiting accident.
Baskets premieres Thursday.
I like Ron. You can say anything.
Yeah.
He just goes, yeah, by the way, let's get back to the reality. Well, he's obviously not as interesting as last time on the show. Let's promote it and see if we get someone else that's roaming the halls to stop in.
But it is back.
I can never afford Bennington clothes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, Project kids can't get a Bennington shirt unless your mom found one at Goodwill.
Yeah, it's not going to happen that way.
Right. They're in the $60 range.
Right. Well, even the name Bennington, it just comes across as if it's more important than it is.
It sounds very regal. Like a lot of people think it sounds like like the Duchess of Bennington.
It does sound like that.
I met her once. I was in Monaco. She was there.
Okay, Thursday, January 19th.
Ron still got it. Ron, ready to be here all week.
Yeah, you just did the Caroline shows, right?
I did. That's a nice club.
Yeah, it's a fun club, and it's in New York, but there's a lot of people who come from all over.
The Tunnel and Bridge crowd, which I never knew that existed.
Yeah.
But the guy said, they made an offhand comment, one of the people who worked there. I won't say who said it. Chris. And he says, a real Tunnel and Bridge crowd. They're, what? What is that? They're rough around the edges. I go, oh, Jesus. What is that, good or bad? I'm rough around the edges.
Yeah, they're saying they come in from Jersey.
Yeah, I know,
either on a tunnel or a bridge.
I get it. I mean, but it's just like, I like when people have a reason.
Right.
Why things are not exactly the way you want them.
Yeah.
That was all that, they expect a tunnel and bridge, but they got caught in a storm. They were mixed up and they went over the turnpike. They're on that now.
Well, there's been a long history of jokes
how you
about
hold
Jersey.
on to the mic like you're going to slip out of something. Hold on. We're on the Titanic, the serious Titanic.
Hey, if this building tips, I'll be right here with the mic the whole way.
We'll both be falling the same way, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, what were you saying?
Well, there's a long thing of Jersey jokes, New Jersey jokes that goes back to like the Catskills, and it's only because it's on the other side of the river. That's the only, I mean, it's a beautiful state. There's great towns there.
Yeah, the first time I went north and was, I didn't realize most New Yorkers just know Elizabeth or they know the Jersey Shore. Those are the two.
But when you're in LA, people joke about the valley because it's on the other side of the mountain. There's nothing, nothing wrong with it.
No, well, they're different.
Yeah.
the Valley's a little different. But you know what's interesting is I just put together, now you're his daughter, right?
Yeah.
Now how weird is that? Like, that's the coolest thing and the weirdest thing.
Yeah, both.
Like, how do you feel about it? Do you go, I gotta go to work with Dad?
No,
or do you just go, what's Bennington?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that most of the time I think of it, I just think I've got to go to work. And in fact, like, I think at this point it's harder to go out of work mode than it is to do the opposite.
Oh, you mean like when we hang out together?
When we hang out together. And then now I'm on the phone with my brother talking, and I was like, yeah, so I spoke to Ron about it today. And he's like, come on, dude. I was just like, wow, does that mean Dad?
Your brother called you dude? Come on, dude.
But that's
my dad likes you. He doesn't like me. He said I don't have a voice for radio. I don't know. I think it sounds good, don't you? It's a little pitchy.
That's actually a great impression of him.
Dead on.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Oh, you're always with Dad. You're always that serious, big shot now. Think you don't. I'm going to tell him stuff that I know. You're not going to get away with it all.
But people think there's a change thing, but I don't know if we've ever even had that kind of father-daughter relationship.
What was the first talk, though? When did you just say to her, hey, one of the mics is empty?
Yeah, it's exactly what we did.
That's what happens. I always be nice to assistants.
Yeah.
Because let's say the main person gets fired.
Right.
Let's say Roger gets fired.
Yeah.
The guy comes in, you're fired, Roger. We're sick of your bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? Can you swear on this one?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You're sick of your bullshit, Roger. And then as soon as sitting there, Arlene, hey, who are you? I'm Arlene. What do you do? I'm the assistant here. All right, you're the new Roger.
Yes.
All right. But I'm going to call you Roger, even though it's Arlene. But don't report that or else I'll see that you never work.
No, there's a lot of truth that if you're close by, if
you'll get a job.
You'll get a job.
Yeah,
you got to hang
nobody
out.
wants to look for it. Hey, I don't want to do have an interview with people.
Yeah.
You can't, you know.
But you know that from the Comedy Store, some people would hang out in the back for years.
Yes.
And then finally get on stage, and now they may be stars. And you hear that story
it's true. It's
all
true.
the time. Like, I just didn't let them say no.
Yeah, well, I always tell people about show business.
Yeah.
You ever been to Disneyland? I can't even say it. When you get older, you notice that where all the words aren't available. I requested Disneyland and my synopsis have been snapped. And I say it's like Disneyland when you see the ride and the line's so long and you go, I'll never get on that ride. And I go, you got to get in line. If you get in line in the show business line, you'll get a turn.
Yeah.
Because it's just inevitable. You will. Because they run out of people. And people give up. People, just go, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going to work at Arby's. I'm going to do it.
But it's the people who stick it out.
Meat
at
Arby's.
You were working with Emma Willman.
I love her.
We love her too.
Yeah,
we're just
she's
crazy
so fantastic.
About her. Yeah.
There's something, I'll use the word, she's like clean. There's something clean, not that she doesn't swear, but there's something clean and definite. She's so clear.
Yeah.
About who Emma is.
Yeah.
You know that, how rare that is?
Yeah,
with
she's
comics?
so very fully realized.
Yes.
And because of that, she's always fun to be around because she's like, you kind of know exactly where she's coming from. And she's like, she could talk on anything. Like, I mean, funny people who can do that. You could throw anything at her and she'll want to have a conversation about it.
And you can be talking to her and she can walk right away from you. And I'll go, what do you, oh, yeah, I was thinking about, like, that it just came to her. It's like there's a running, and I don't mean it in any bad way, Em. I'd still let you work with me again. But, in case she's listening, I don't know if she's a sycophant or not. Sycophant. On the blue light. He always had some kind of going on in his songs. And she would just be, she's got a tape playing.
Yeah.
I do not have a tape. I have to stay in the thing, in what we're doing. Like, I like to look at each situation as kind of a painting or a picture that we're in.
No matter what it is,
I think I'm like in the moment. Yeah. Yeah. Unless I'm hurting or really, got something going on, painful.
Yeah.
Like if you ever had a really bad toothache.
Well, yeah,
people could be talking to you. You could think, kill me.
Yes. It does
just hit my tooth somehow.
It does change everything, right?
A toothpaste.
Toothpaste too. But if anything, earache will make you think there's not another thing in the world I care about. Just that one thing.
Yes. Why am I getting this?
Yeah. But you never sit around and go, I'm so blessed I don't have an earache today. You know,
but when you have, it's true.
When you have it.
So what are we? You know, like, I always think we're kind of like chimps.
Yeah.
Like everything's okay. And then we're just sitting. Mostly people like to sit, and then we're all communal for the most part.
Right.
And then there's that one chimp who runs and slaps one of us in the head.
Yeah.
And then it's on.
It's on, yeah. We're all
Don't you run and slap me in the head, you son of a bitch! And then the other ones are going, get him. So I don't think we've gone very far from that, to be honest with you. When we dress up, we get Bennington clothes, and then...
Yes, we're chimps and Bennington clothes, and that's it.
Chimp, yeah. No, but it's true.
Yeah.
It is. You know, thank God for Sirius Radio. Can I say that?
Yeah, good.
You know that?
Yeah.
I mean, thank God. I went into one building today, and I did so many different types of interviews.
Yeah.
And I got to, support baskets and promote baskets and my dates and talk to a million and talk to people from
all different walks of life. There are completely different shows wherever you go.
From Sway to, Bennington.
All those people great in their own way too. Everybody.
Yes, everybody, that point of view, the point of view. And to have it all in one building.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's really great.
One of my favorite things is just walking down this hall and looking in and seeing everybody in their own little world and their completely different style show, and you walk past one and there's a rapper in here, and then there's like a country music star playing live, and then a comedian in the next room. You're like, oh, this is so weird. It's like kind of how you would imagine radio to look, like if you had imagined the way radio to
radio did always have that on a smaller basis, but this is big time, Bill.
Yeah, but
this is like somebody went, hey, this is very similar to the zoo thing.
Yes, we are
when you
very,
go to the zoo,
right.
they'll be in there, we'll all be in the cages, and people look in there. Who's that? Oh, you don't want to go in there.
I've seen that for enough,
There's venom in there. That's a show that you're not smart enough to be on that show. What?
Well, the beauty of it is like it doesn't feel like competition like it used to when you're out.
Oh,
when I worked in terrestrial radio, I'd be like, I hate Sway for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Right.
Just because he's across the street.
Yeah. He's got webbed toes. A lot of people don't know that. But. Hey, are you a comic also?
No, I'm not a comic, but I kind of.
What a good voice you have for radio.
I host a show where I talk to women in comedy, and I grew up in comedy. I grew up around it, and.
Hey, Louie, we got to go to break now, but we're glad to see you, buddy.
Let me sing you to break. Whenever you're ready. You ready?
Thursday, January 19th, 10 p.m. on FX.
Lafayette, I'm going to be there this weekend.
And Lafayette.
And then where am I the week after? Did they give you the thing?
They didn't give me any of it.
My Facebook, and you can find out. Come and see my shows.
Great
I'm
shows,
doing this
great
tour,
stand-up.
and then I'm going to take a break and invent some new coffee mix.
And so that's it. We're going to commercial now.
We're going to commercial. And we're going to commercial. Ron and his daughter. Be right back. I can't remember her name, but I'm sure it's not Priscilla. This is a serious. I'm just kidding you. Don't listen to it if you don't want to.
Hey, it's the Bennington Show. That was Louie Anderson. Who doesn't love Louie, huh?
I love him so much, and I love this show. This is I'm so excited for the second season, because I was crazy about the first season.
Yeah, the first season was really, really good. I don't know where the show's going, but I don't think it's about that, is it?
No, it's very much a character-driven show. I mean, we're probably... not ever going to get that feeling back of the first time I saw Louie do the character of Mrs. Baskets, and I was just like, I can't believe this is happening.
You should have done your impression for him.
My Martha impression.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Mrs. Baskets. Damn it.
I should have probably asked him something about Shanling. I'm sure they were at this comedy store together. Well, we're all over the place today. So I've been trying to deal with some stuff. My pop's been in the hospital for a couple days. And then, talking with my brother, and he's like, I'm down in San Juan. I'm going to should I jump ship and catch a flight home? I'm like, what year is this when someone can jump ship? My brother does, kind of safety, I don't know what you call like safety analysis. He's like a safety officer for these ships. This is, him, it's a weird thing too. People are just texting during the show. I don't know anyone else who just gets on a ship in Singapore, goes to Australia and then flies home. He just does this stuff all over the world.
Yeah, it sounds like something out of a novel or an old movie. It doesn't seem like that guy still exists. No, it really does seem like when I'm having this conversation, like this should be in black and white. You know what I mean? I'm in a typhoon off the coast. But, so when you have something like this come up in your family, you realize that families don't, like none of us live close, all of us are some distance away. Yeah, it used to be the strange thing, like the one sibling who goes away and makes a different life for them. And now that's most families. Like most families kind of move outward. Yeah. And I know a lot of people whose like parents moved away. Look at that alligator, the size of 13.5 feet. Is that real? Yeah. I mean, that was massive. For some reason, alligators and pigs are getting bigger than they ever were before. That's the biggest alligator I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, that easily is. And I feel like I've seen some massive alligators in person, but like look at the head of that thing. Look how much distance is underneath of it. You know what I mean? Like it's off the ground by about 1.5 feet. It just feels like you could limbo under that thing. I wouldn't. I don't want to limbo. I don't want to limbo. Louis at the end of his day, he's had a long day. He's a little randy. He is. Well, I'm randy. And he hates our chairs because they're too high. And he goes, don't they get lower? I don't like this. I don't even want to be here now. It's making me not want to be here. He's so funny. Just so blunt. I know. At the moment. It's like a kid who just like speaks their mind and they don't realize like you don't have to say everything you think. I don't like you or that other man. Who's that? Oh, he couldn't believe that fucking Vito, or as he calls him, Speedo. He calls you Speedo. Doesn't pay attention to the show.
I was paying attention. I just had to take care of something for a second.
That's not paying attention. That's like, oh, did you watch the baby? Yes, I am. I just wasn't looking at her while she crawled into the pool. The 1 second that he looked at you, you weren't looking at him. What were you paying attention to?
I was just updating the pad data, and
he doesn't want that. Louis doesn't want that.
He specifically said he wanted the same pad data.
He wants you looking at him, reacting, Speedo. Reacting. By the way, is there a Bennington clothing line that you kept bringing up?
There's pottery. Interesting. There is like a really, really old ad that I found for women's pajamas that was Bennington, like of Bennington line. But other than that, I've never seen or heard anything like it. But it was a very sexy ad that I found. Here it is. This is Bare Midriff Pajamas by Bennington.
Oh, scandalous.
That looks like the 60s, right? That kind of like a woman would dress like that.
So it must, I immediately, when he said it at first, I was like, I don't think I've heard of that. And then I remembered, oh my gosh, I remember this really old ad that I had found. So that must be what he's talking about. $60 shirts.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. You can't even get your shirts, Ron. I like you. Like it goes back and forth like that. Ah, that's too high. Here's my buddy. We had so much fun.
And daughter. He was just calling me daughter. I'm everyone's daughter.
Don't call me daughter. I never understood that that song.
Because he had long hair.
No, really?
Yeah.
Are you making that up?
I think that he had long hair. And that
his own father would call him daughter?
I think it was supposed to be a stepdad or something, but maybe it was his dad.
Well, his real daddy was dying. Oh, too bad you didn't see him. But I'm glad. We went from just doing Elvis to Pearl Jam singing.
Right into it.
It's not a normal day today.
No.
It's a day of disconnect.
It is.
Today is a disconnected day. Louis Anderson was just here. Baskets 2. Baskets 2.
I can't wait.
Coming out this year. I'm just going to remind people that Gail Meets Girls is out.
Yes, the newest episode is up on the Interrobang and on iTunes. It's featuring Emma Willman and Carly Aquilino. So download and subscribe.
And then also, this is going to be your last opportunity to pick up or even have a chance at the next Unmasked.
It's happening Wednesday, February 8th at 8 p.m. at the Stand Comedy Club in New York City. That's Unmasked with Nick DiPaolo. You go to interrobang.com for a chance at free tickets. And this is your last chance.
Speedo, what's it take to get that taken care of in there?
She's just going over the plug real quick.
There is no plug, dude. Don't look at me like a fucking dense fuck.
There we go.
We're doing this audio documentary on, for me, one of my favorite performers of all time, Gary Shandling. One of the few people I think I can remember the first time I saw him on television doing stand-up, and I always thought that he was a really brilliant guy, and left the world with a couple of classic television shows. So we're putting together an audio documentary on this, and Janine Garofalo was kind enough to talk to us, and this is, I believe, the show that I first knew who Janine was, and I've been just a fan of hers since then. And we've got Janine online with us right now. Janine, thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about how you and Gary first knew each other.
Well, I knew him obviously from stand. I knew who he was. And then when I was living in Los Angeles in the early 90s, I ran into him a couple times, and he also did a spot on the pilot for the Ben Stiller show, and then it was nice enough to give me the opportunity to come in and audition for the show he was doing called The Larry Sanders Show, and was unbelievably kind to give me that opportunity, because the first time I had acted really in anything was the Ben Stiller Show and the Larry Sanders Show when I was 27. So I really didn't know what I was doing, and it was very lucky that I had those two opportunities. And Gary was, without overstating it, probably one of the best bosses I've ever had, and was one of the nicest, most supportive people I've ever worked with. And unfortunately, it was sort of like a baptism by the opposite of fire, because I didn't know it wasn't always going to be like that for other acting jobs.
Right, but
people were not going to be as nice as him and allow you to improvise.
Yeah, because that show, and it's hard to go back and remember the initial shock or to explain people how different the Larry Sanders show was. But your jaw just dropped at how creative and how kind of groundbreaking that show was.
Right. Now a lot of shows use the devices that he sort of, with the other co-creators, pioneered in that show. And if you come late to it and just watch it now as a younger person, you think that it's derivative of more modern things, but it really isn't. It was one of the first things that did that sort of docu-realism behind the scenes type of genre, but also so much of it was improvised, and he really wanted people to, especially in terms of scenes with him, say things differently each time you spoke to him, so that it would force him to really listen and respond more naturally, which I think is a really great way to work. A lot of other people over the years that I've worked with do not like to work with that way, unfortunately. But I thought it was just a really great way to get the most natural reactions and responses. Having said that, the writing was very, very good too. So I don't want anyone to think like, oh, it wasn't structured and it wasn't scripted, because it was, and they worked very hard on the scripts. But he was always open to ideas from the cast. If he didn't like them, you wouldn't use them. But he was, because one of the most important things is that you feel confident, and he was really good at making people feel confident to try things.
This is the first show, too, that I ever remembered that stars would allow themselves to come off as something other than really great people. You know what I mean? So You would see a petty version of Elvis Costello or Warren Zevon, and that was fascinating to me.
Well, what's interesting about that, because I've thought about that a lot, and what's strange is, lots of shows use that device where the gag is that the person in the entertainment business is a real, almost borderline sociopath. But oddly enough, the opposite is true. You know what I mean? Like I find that you can find jerks in any vocation.
Yeah.
It's case by case. It's not specific to one job or another. But I think audiences like to believe that people in entertainment, politics, and law enforcement are jerks. You know what I mean? I think they just like to think that. It makes them maybe feel better about themselves. I don't know what it is, but I've met a lot of very nice people in entertainment. Some of the worst people I've met have been in political journalism. I would say that is the lion's share of people that are off-putting. I have found work in the cable news industry and in quote-unquote journalism, and I use that term very loosely.
And that's kind of worked to Trump's advantage, hasn't it, when you think about it?
Well, you can always depend on the media to not do their jobs well.
Yeah.
That's one thing that anybody knows, but even if he didn't know that, he would still be like that. It's just that he has a lot of help in the mainstream media to do what he does.
How do you think that Trump is going to impact your comedy? I mean, from your Air America days, it also feels like this is similar to, the way the answer to the Bush administration, but this also feels entirely different. How do you think it's going to impact comedy?
Well, it impacts in the same way it impacts anyone's life. Sometimes people make the mistake of thinking I'm a political comedian. Sometimes I discuss political things and sometimes I don't. It just depends on, what's going on or my mood that night or what have you. But sometimes I just feel too bereft, quite honestly, to make a joke about something. This is no joke. It's what's going on politically. It's very hard to parody it. And also, I don't really have that much clever to say about it. So sometimes when I do discuss it, I just discuss about how I'm feeling about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
But sometimes I just feel honestly very sad about it and very nervous and restless. And a lot of times it's fatiguing for the audience to discuss these things, especially if in the audience they have any degree of emotional intelligence or empathy of any kind. If they care about things, then it's difficult to just dismiss or mock what goes on in politics. And also, politics isn't very separate from your life. Everything that happens politically, using that as a catch-all phrase, impacts your life very much. So it isn't that separate. Whether it be somebody denying climate change or rolling back reproductive rights or racist policies, whatever it is, these transcend the narrow frame of political speak or political talk. So it's just. And much like now, obviously, I'm very chatty and incapable of getting to a point succinctly and with clarity. So it's hard for me sometimes to contain my feelings about what goes on in politics.
But I agree with you, too, that I think it's hard for the audience to figure out where they are on it right now. Like, I will hear in the clubs that get very quiet when anyone brings it up at all.
Yeah, it depends, and it's also night by night. You know, on Saturday night I was working at Eastville, and a comic before me brought up his distaste for Trump, and was 2 people in the audience booed. The majority of the audience was with him, but it's always painful when that happens. You know what I mean? But I do feel that voting for Trump speaks volumes about a person, and it's not a joke, and it's not funny, and it's difficult to understand that kind of person, and because it's not about issues, clearly, because there's been no issues that one could grab onto that evidence bears out that it's really an issue. You know what I mean? Like he's very good at the clarion calls of divisiveness and limbic brain stuff. And I think the average Trump voter, it boils down to id, unrestrained id, or any of the things, that xenophobia or racism or misogyny or just fear or just a lack of empathy. All of these are just bullying, relating to a bully. Because I can't get my mind around it any other way. Because if it was about populism, if it was about those that felt disenfranchised, et cetera, they would have responded to Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, and to some degree the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. But failing that, I can only assume that it's the most base emotions that motivate one to vote that way.
But it does keep us now like in interesting times, because this is a time that people are like, who am I and who is my country? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like literally, I don't remember though. Maybe you could say in the 1960s, those kind of things came up, but I'm not sure if since.
Well, you know, I'm sure they did. It's just that when you're alive in the moment and cognizant, it feels like the worst time when you're there. But I'm sure, you know, it's been an issue, I'm sure, since the Know Nothing Party, or since the McCarthy era, or as you said, the 60s, during Watergate, but the Reagan Revolution, the first George W. Bush illegal installation by Antonin Scalia. You know what I mean? Like you could be grappling with any of these things, and not just that domestically, but internationally, the geopolitical decisions that we make that impact others. You can still say, who am I in regards to this? If we support apartheid, or if we support unkind corporate practices, that kind of thing. You can always be in a state of questioning, and you should be. But I think what the conservative movement and the right wing makes it easy to do is not question, not think about it, not have to care about others, but always claim the moral high ground for some reason. And you know, there's the silent majority. First of all, they're not silent at all, and they are not the majority. You know, when it was first coined during the Nixon era, I guess, and then again during Reagan, and now with Trump, they are certainly not silent, and they are definitely not the majority, but they love to think of themselves that way.
Janine, thank you so much for...
oh, my gosh. I'm sorry. We didn't even talk... Did I talk too much?
No. It was great, and I think we got some great stuff on Gary Shandling.
And I didn't even say that much about Gary. Oh, my God. See, I get sidetracked because I get so hepped up about this.
If you even want, we'll do it again sometime, but it was real... I thought you got some great stuff about doing Shandling. I really do.
Okay.
And I'm letting, you know, if you get the chance to see Janine, you're going to be at the Stand this week. She's one of the finest comedians working today.
I'm not, but thank you for saying that.
You're fascinating on stage. Fascinating. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janine.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. No, I'm not going to break, Chris. You think we got enough for Gary, right?
Yeah, some great stuff.
She tends to worry about that kind of stuff. I got to get my team together over there, man. You've been doing this too long to have that look on your face, you know?
I was told this morning to get a plug ready.
I can't hear you, dude.
I was told this morning to get a plug ready for her.
You know what kind of schedule we're on here. So you guys need to talk back and forth.
Yeah, it's my
But that can't go on for minutes at a time. All right, who do we got? Adam Ferrara is coming in here. He's going to be at Gotham Comedy Club in New York City this Friday, January 20th, and Saturday, January 21st, shows at 8 and 10. He's also truly one of the funniest and nicest people working in comedy. Look at this show today. Louis Anderson, Adam Ferrara, Janine Garofalo. Here's what I love about it, and it's only in comedy this happened. 3 people who seem wildly different. You know, when you go to a rock show or a hip-hop show, you're seeing people who are almost stamped out of the same place. But in comedy, you just meet so many people who are wildly different. So he's coming in 2 minutes.
He's coming down the hall.
All right. So, again, Gail Meets Girls.
Yes, that is up on the Interrobang, and also you can find it on iTunes where you can download and subscribe. This is episode 3 featuring Emma Willman and Carly Aquilino, and she's a big MTV star.
She's a big star.
She is a big star. I mean, I was looking at her Twitter the other day, and just after we did Gail Meets Girls, she was having a back and forth with The Rock.
Is that right? She's that big of a star.
That's the kind of star you are. You're just talking to The Rock on Twitter.
That's what Vito would love to do with his life. All right, Adam Ferrara, he's at Gotham in New York City this Friday and Saturday night. Shows at 8 and 10. GothamComedyClub.com for tickets. Let's bring in Adam Ferrara. Adam Ferrara is here. Gotham Comedy Club in New York City, Friday and Saturday. 2 shows.
Yes.
8 and 10 p.m.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, dude.
When was the last? Montreal was the last time.
Montreal, yeah, we saw you on the street.
Yeah, in the street in Montreal, under a lamp.
Yeah, I remember we had to hug over a fence because Adam is a hugger.
Yeah.
He's an Italian hugger.
That, you know what it is?
Yeah.
You see, you don't. I grew up on Long Island, Italian, so you're hugging, you're kissing everybody.
Yeah.
It does. Here's the mailman. Come here, look at you. Look at you. How heavy was this? Put it down. Mom, make a lasagna. The mail's here. And, you know, people aren't, you learn that there's a boundary issue, you know. Like.
Well, Bonnie McFarlane wrote a great book, and she talked about when she had a TV show, she was disconnected from the people around her. Mm-hmm. And then Adam gets there, and he's the most popular guy on the set because he likes people.
Oh, yeah.
Which Bonnie was like, I learned something, you know what I mean?
Be nice to people.
Yeah,
and
like
warm.
people, and then they'll like you.
Well, it was a great experience. That show we did, we were kids when we did it.
Yeah.
And my little trailer was at Universal, and my little trailer was right by the Universal tour when they switched from English to Spanish.
Yeah.
So they went, and you will see the Jaws, you will see the Psycho House. And that's when they switched right there.
Yeah.
I got drunk at the Psycho House.
Is that right? Inside?
It was on the lot. Yeah, it was on the lot. It wasn't during, I was shooting another show, it was called Flying Blind on Fox 100 years ago. Yeah. And it shot on the Universal lot. And one of the guys, Bobby, that was in the show, after we did run through, he said, come with me. He had a golf cart and he had a bunch of beer in the golf cart. He goes, what? He goes, I like to do this on Fridays. And we drove up to the Psycho House and we sat in the house and watched people pass, and we're getting drunk just watching the tour go by. It's all different now. Because I was on a lot a couple of months ago doing something, and all the thing I remember, because they had Columbo's Peugeot was up there too. Right. That's all gone now. Now it's that movie with it's the whole set is the Tom Cruise movie where the plane goes down Day After Tomorrow, whatever it is.
Yeah, because people don't remember some of these other things. Yep. You know, they have to update them all the time.
Yeah. So everything is different now. They still got the shark.
Yeah, they still got the shark. The shark will always be famous, I think. You know, the shark is like Wizard of Oz. That's a sticker. But Columbo, you couldn't have a bigger show when we were kids.
When we were kids, yeah.
And then there's no young kids now who would know who Columbo.
Look at her eyes glaze over.
She's like, happens constantly.
The yogurt had a TV show?
Did you just glaze over like, there they are talking about old things? They don't really
What does that even mean?
That means nothing.
Well, it also was the only thing on. I mean, if you look at what people, your attention now, everything is split. Everything is fractured because no one has a shared experience. The biggest shared experience we just had was this the Packer game, Packer Broncos.
48 million people watched that
game. 48 million people watched.
Yeah, but 48 million people used to watch Happy Days. You know what I mean? Like, if you watch those shows got canceled. Mm-hmm. That would be the biggest show on TV today. You know, a show would get canceled with 12, 15 million people watching it.
Our show, I was on a show that had 10 million people every week and we got canceled.
Yeah.
I was on a cop show, and it got canceled.
That would be enormous.
Yeah.
Today.
The Walking Dead's like 11 million, I think.
Well, you were saying, too, like, that is also the same reason the late night shows, like, to get a spot on a late night show was so much more significant than it ever could be now.
Right.
Because you only had so many options, and everyone watched Carson, or everyone, you know.
Everyone watched Carson. There was a thing, I think, there was...
It used to be a career maker.
And I talked to David Brenner about that. He said that when that show ended, he had just gigs in Vegas booked. He was going to be the opening act for Sonny and Cher. NBC was calling him about a thing because they saw him do 7 minutes on Carson.
That's a lot. I did last time I did let him at Fallon. I did 4.5 on Fallon.
Yeah. Well, they used to even, I think they would give guys 9.5 minutes in the 60s.
Yeah.
Like Woody Allen would just walk out that you had never seen before, and he would do 9.5 minutes. And now it's just like...
Yeah, I don't have to do them anymore. I'm grateful because it's not a fun experience. So now you just tell your stories on the couch. But even the construction of the set, you got to get a laugh in your first 10 minutes.
Right.
And you got to, I like to carry it. I always put my best joke second to laughs.
Right.
Because that gets an applause break. And if you put it last and you say goodnight, you put your hand up, the band kicks in, you're burning an applause break.
Right.
So I put it second to last. So once I got a big applause break on the third to last joke and I bailed. We're done. I'm saving these two. We're done.
He's just running in place.
That's
everybody.
And they're like this. Like, oh, okay. And I sat on the couch and made it up then. Oh, bless you, Jennifer.
No, that's so funny, though.
The goddess of caffeine is around.
Yes, she is.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Adam's not awake yet.
I'm not.
You've got to meet him at the elevator with that and just start pouring it in.
I'm not. Don't let the ADD fool you. I'm asleep, but I'm unfocused.
Just because he's asleep doesn't mean that he can't be doing bits. He's ready.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the old... I opened for Henny Youngman when I was a kid. And you could see that, like, he was barely functioning.
Yeah.
He was walking along and all of a sudden, when he gets, and they even said, bring him up, ladies and gentlemen, the living legend, Henny Youngman. And he got a standing O. It took him 20 minutes because they're all, you know.
Right.
They're all 900 years old.
Yeah.
It smells like formaldehyde. There's a guy in a sickle in the back. When's he coming out? So they put him in a chair. He does his thing. And at the end, I go up and I say, ladies and gentlemen, Henny Youngman. They start to do the standing ovation. And they said, don't touch him, just stand there. Right? And he leans over to me, and he hands me the fiddle, the Stradivarius. And he goes, get me out of this friggin' chair. I'm like, I'm not touching him. I'll break a hip. Yeah. I don't need that kind of event in my life. So, but the adrenaline, when he's on stage, you could see the switch like that.
Right.
Any performer goes from screw this to da-da-da-da. And the eyes light up, and you could see the life come back into his being.
Well, have you ever had a cold or a flu, and then you don't during the time?
I worked with a fever once, yeah.
Yeah. During the time that you're performing, you're like, everything's great. And then you go backstage and you just start feeling like your throat's closing up.
And nobody believes you. You just don't want to come to the house for dinner. You know, I'm infected, but no one believes that adrenaline rush and that I don't know what it is, but you're in another place where it's your performance space.
Yeah.
Germs are not allowed.
But if they could just keep people performing, maybe they would live forever. You know, just the show. But Henny Youngman was great when he was that old because he would still do Take My Wife, Please. But he would just go, Take My Wife, Please. You know what I mean? There was no...
Can we get on with this? We know how it ends.
Take My Wife, Please.
All right.
And then he wouldn't even do a wife joke after that.
No,
but
that was it.
I'm sure he still got a huge pop after that.
He did, because that's all I want to see. I haven't written anything since Sanford and Son was on. Richard Pryor wrote for that show.
Richard Pryor wrote for Sanford and
Son.
Son.
Yes, he did. Richard Pryor was supposed to be in Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, I remember hearing that story. And it was because he was so controversial, they wouldn't.
Well, he was coked up.
Yeah,
it was. They would write, and he would show up late. You know how Jen brought me the coffee?
Yeah.
Richard would roll in. Mel would be there. He'd do a couple lines and hand him a struggle. Brother Mel. And he went, no, thank you.
No.
Warner Brothers wouldn't back him because it was in some book I read. Warner Brothers wouldn't back him.
Now that's the thing that you didn't think that Mel Brooks. I mean, he's so old school.
Yeah.
And Richard was so fucking cutting edge.
At the time, yeah.
Right. But they thought, hey, if this is funny, let's work together. You know what I mean? That's
and it was
comedy.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, it was brilliant stuff.
Well, we were saying today on the show, we've had you, Louis Anderson, and Janine Garofalo.
Oh, I miss Louis?
Yeah. No, that's the great thing about comedy. You have three distinct different views, different attitudes. You're all comedians, right? And you all work together, and you would never do that in music. You would never go, here's a jazz act, a blues act, and a hip-hop
Well,
act.
you would do it like, to raise money for some...
right. Yeah.
We are the world!
But you and Louis worked together in L.A. years ago?
Yeah, a little bunch of... Louis had that show on NBC.
Yeah.
And then I would run into him at Comedy. I saw him in Montreal, too.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Montreal's great because we don't see each other. You start out as comics and you see everybody, and everyone starts headlining and going around the country. You don't see anybody until there's a benefit.
It becomes a much lonelier...
existence.
Yeah. It's a really different thing.
And you can go for I'll go after morning press. You go back, you tell yourself you're going to work out, but you go back to sleep.
Right.
Hopefully you get out at 10 o'clock because the breakfast is still up at the hotel. You go to sleep, you get up, you do whatever you got to do. And then you go to the show. So you can go not talking to someone in conversation for a week, because you're only talking, to promoter, radio or on stage and stuff.
Do you take a middle out with you, or you don't?
When I can, a lot of times when you schedule stuff, I got guys I use in Chicago and stuff, but I like to do that. But I because of the TV schedule and stuff, I don't tour that frequently to make it worth someone's while.
What is your TV schedule?
Well, right now it's Top Gear's trying to find a new home, so that's the newest point of that reality. The nice thing is the three of us were talking about doing something, and now we're not the only ones talking. It's usually the three of us go, "What do you think?" Yes, I'd hire us. And now there's other people saying, "Oh, okay, fine." Yeah. So that might.
But you guys were already thinking that way.
We were, yeah. We still love each other.
Yeah.
So that's the core of the show. Is the three of us idiots doing this dopey stuff, and there's more stories to tell. So it's like Rescue Me was a lot of fun, but we were on the tour, the last comedy tour, and we were in the tour bus, and Dennis said, how do you guys feel about this being the last season? And Lenny and Clark and I went, no, we don't have Ice Age money. You skinny Irish pain in the ass. Keep writing the fireman story. What the hell is wrong with you? You hear my voice selling Fords? You're selfish, Leary. So
I do hear him selling Fords all the time. He's so badass in your face with this. But that's the difference, right? You're like, this is a great gig. Why would we ever stop?
Yeah, but you could see and he did all the writing himself. It was him, Peter Tolan, Evan Riley, John Scurry wrote a couple of stuff, and they had a couple of other writers that would do. But for the most part, it was him.
Yeah.
So he's done telling the stories, and every artist has a right when he's done with something to be done with it.
Right.
So.
And then he did his rock and roll show.
Did the rock and roll show.
And now I think he's going to be producing at least a pilot for Robert Kelly.
Bobby.
Yeah,
it's
which
great.
is great.
So he's still, but when that went down, you have to move to the next thing.
Right.
So
you have
Top
to
Gear
be
was the next thing, and you have to be. And then after that, I went to Nurse Jackie, and then that story ended. So you keep moving. I don't know how we got on this topic because the ADD is still ready.
But I saw
Columbo.
Yeah.
So he was a detective. He had one eye. Peter Falk.
Well, he had two eyes. One just was
two eyes. He had two.
Kind of shabby.
One worked.
But I saw on Instagram our old friend Melissa meeting Adam and freaking out. And it was so funny to me because I'm like, I know both these people. And, but she was like, Adam is her favorite comedian. And she went way upstate to see you. I don't know where you were, but, and I'm like, well, she must have drove 50 miles or something. You know what I mean? To know that somebody that loves someone else like that, and she waited to meet him and stuff.
Yeah, it's nice when that happens.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure, too. You're like, oh, what do I...
Yeah.
Well,
you can see in the picture, she's just like
that means everything to me.
You can see that she's grabbing.
And I'm like trying to be I'm like, God, I really don't want to screw this moment up for her. I can't take but inside I'm just screaming, raise your goals. You gotta this can't be it. I'll do whatever you want. You can picture on the mole side, on the other side, whatever you want. Whatever makes you happy. I'm just saying reach for more in life than this.
There's so many other people that you could be idolizing. But no, you're her favorite. Yeah. That's how it goes.
It's nice to see that you reach people because a lot of times we do. People hear you but you're part of people's day. You're part of this whole thing. You're in their consciousness, and there's a certain amount of, I guess, responsibility.
Absolutely.
And they're not the responsibility to be what they want you to be, but just to be honest in what you do. Yeah. So that keeps me in check to as soon as you start thinking what do they want to hear, you're screwed. Yeah. But if you're saying, what do I want to say?
I think it's always funny when you meet someone because they follow your work, they feel like they know you, and then they get overly excited and start to run themselves down. And they're like, I'm blowing this. But I'm to say, and you're like,
it turns on them.
You probably don't want to talk with you.
And it's all happening. And I'm standing and I watch him spin. I go, you really don't even need me here for this. I could have just started this motor and walked away. It's pretty much like a pull string on a lawnmower. All right, go ahead. Cut the grass.
Chris, why don't you be plug guy? You're the plug guy.
Gotcha. Adam Ferrara's in studio. Adam's performing at Gotham Comedy Club in New York City this Friday.
Great club.
January 20th and Saturday, January 21st, which shows at 8 and 10 p.m. Go to GothamComedyClub.com for tickets. And on Twitter, it's at Adam Ferrara.
Scared the hell out of me. I turned around and I didn't know Beardy Underglass was right here.
Beardy Underglass.
How are you, big fella?
Yeah, it's a frightening
look.
look.
Just sitting there looking. It was like, and I think the glass actually makes him bigger.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
No, he's
You'd be
gigantic.
surprised.
He's gigantic. It's like when Shamu comes up to the window, the kids see him for the first time.
I turned around and there he was. I'm like, oh, I don't have any fish or anything.
Yeah, we should have water coming over the top of the tank. Yeah,
but he's happy.
He is happy.
The thing is, he looks happy, but that's not the way God wants. Close the circus. Close SeaWorld. Free Beardy Underglass. Free Beardy.
You're getting so many nicknames today.
Yeah, I know. Louie was calling him Speedo instead of Vito.
Oh,
yeah. And it was the same thing. People look over and they're alarmed.
It's just
you're not used to that.
No.
You're like, because we're all relaxed and all of a sudden, what does he want? I felt like he just wanted to knock. He wanted to knock on the door. Like, they won. They didn't cover. You got my money?
Right. Exactly what he looks like.
Well, I think it was Pamela Adlon when she came in was really freaked out because she couldn't tell the two of them apart, and it felt like she thought she was looking at some weird mirror image.
No.
This is his beard was not as beardy before.
He's darker beardy, and there's something slightly killer in the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
This is big, nice, and jovial. And
thank you. But she was, Pamela Adlon was.
See, look at the eyes light up.
I know.
I'm not gonna. That's could be dangerous.
Boy. He's sweet boy.
Well, that's kind of like he's got a little bit of a. Tell me about the rabbits. He could hurt you, but he does. He could hurt you, but he doesn't mean to.
I'm crying.
Vito means it.
Yeah. Vito looks like if you use the word Russian strongman. I don't know whether that gets used anymore.
That's it. He's the guy in the Russian circus with the bands on the forearms and the biceps.
Oh my God. You can't scare people anymore, Vito. I mean, we have to introduce the guests first.
Do we think that we have to maybe do a lighter beard? Do you think the beard is making him a little bit more alarming?
And then the other thing, we have Jen, and she's just the sweetest person in the world. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then you put her next to an evil person.
I know. Jen, you meet Jen first.
Imposing. Don't say imposing. He could be a gentle giant, but he doesn't seem evil. Seems a little imposing.
I don't think I'm evil.
Maybe.
No, I don't think you're evil either. You're frightening. You're just not.
You know what's funny though? Hitler didn't think he was evil either.
No.
That's what happened.
He felt like he was right.
You know why he didn't drink, right?
Who, Hitler?
Yeah.
Why?
Mean drunk. You had a great joke.
Is that a street joke?
It's a street joke. Yeah.
That's the fucking best joke.
It's really good.
Wouldn't drink.
Nah.
Mean drunk.
Yeah.
Oh, Hitler. Sad, really. I never was going to hit.
Look at Vito. Is he laughing? I'm afraid to turn around now.
Don't start, Vito. Don't scare people.
On.
You a mean drunk or a happy drunk?
I'm a silent drunk. Not mean, but not happy either.
Yeah. He's a Lee Marvin drunk, where it's just him.
Yeah, you're very quiet.
No, this is
Chris, he's very...
Vito, I'd say you're jovial.
Yeah, he's a happy...
Very jovial.
Happy guy.
drunk?
Dancy.
What would you say about yourself?
Really?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe I'm I'm fun until I'm not. I eventually get... If I take it too far.
I'm just straight mean drunk. Just from fucking work.
You're straight mean?
Yeah.
I start happy, and then I'm happy and sleepy.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And I quit drinking because I was getting too good at it.
Right. Everybody eventually quits drinking.
Well, I couldn't recover the next day. I mean, when we were hitting it hard, I was like, I could, get up and, all right, I asked for a cup of coffee, I'm fine. Now I'm like...
Isn't that funny how when you're younger like that, you can... I remember drinking all night and then going to work.
I wouldn't sleep on Wednesdays because I was in an improv group in Queens. Uh-huh. So we would do the show at Jimmy's Comedy Alley. It was the old bowling alley in Bayside. Wow. We'd do the show and then we would go out and get drunk afterwards because the whole bar from the showroom went up to this little bar above and then we just kept going. It was a party. Yeah. And I had to be at work the next day and I would just, Let's make an evening of it. Like I'm Ron Wood. Case loaded again. Looks like we're not resting. He'll be dead soon. Ha-ha. So you think.
And then you would just go to work
and go to work the next day.
Sober up.
You sober up. You go to work the next day, and you would sober up, and then you just keep going.
And then one day it gets like, oh, what am I? And then
sit down.
Yeah, and then you could get to a certain point where the hangover is like 2 days.
Yeah, that's when
you're like, what are we doing now?
You're a real adult.
And then you drink the water; it's not being absorbed into the system. You're like, oh, God.
Yeah. And like somehow water seems just like gelatinous.
Yeah,
it's regular water, but why does it not feel normal?
There's no fluid in your eyes. You're blinking and you actually hear scraping. You're like, oh, I've got to stop. And I didn't sleep well. I had that before you got to get on a plane, every 10 minutes coming up looking at the clock. Yeah. I didn't sleep well, and that would happen all the time. Now, this is the other thing I found out. I go to bed now. Now, is there such a thing as time release OCD? Because I have that. It happens at night when I set the alarm on the phone. Yeah. I get up at least 4 or 5 times to check if the ringer's on. Then I get check if it's AM or PM. And I go back and forth with the phone. And then the phone starts with me. Do you want to update now? No. Remind me later. And I'm yelling at the phone. I already got a wife. I'm yelling at the phone. But it only happens at night because of the anxiety of not waking up or missing the plane.
The worst thought for you is not making your appointment on time.
Being late. Being late, it's that same feeling when you were kids, Sunday night, the homework's not done.
Right. That's a terrible fucking feeling.
Yeah. It's such a rush feeling. But I do think that everybody has that one ADD thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or that one obsessive compulsive thing where, like I was telling you, my obsessive is, I freak out that I haven't turned off my hair straightener, and I go into a full-on panic that could almost set me into tears, thinking like I'm going to burn down, like my dog's going to die, I'm going to kill everyone in the building. There's an old lady on the second floor; she's not going to get out in time. Like I'm like starting to go nuts.
You spin.
And
you need to shave your head.
Yeah,
that's probably your head. If I shave my head,
you won't have to worry about.
I won't have to worry having straight hair. It's like,
my wife did unplug the curling iron. That's the big one. Yeah, you get that. And
but how is that different than not unplugging a toaster or a TV set?
Well, because it burns like
she can see the damage in her head. Has it ever burnt once before?
Yeah.
Has it ever happened to you?
Actually, one time I left it on, left the house overnight, went out, woke up the next morning and it was still on, and there was like a dark spot on the dresser. This was like years ago.
That's your soul.
Right.
And so I just thought, like, what if there was like a piece of paper laying there or something?
Another
like
7 days that it would have finally started a fire. Because the thing is, it's not easy to start a fire when you want to.
The scary thing was, it was only the is it a curling iron or the?
It's a hair straightener.
Hair straightener was only supposed to burn for 1 day, but it burned for 8.
The Jews love it.
The Jews love it.
They celebrate it. They celebrate it with dreidels.
Stop looking at me, Vito!
Stop it, Vito.
Adam Ferrara's in studio. Adam's performing at Gotham Comedy Club in New York City this Friday, January 20th, and Saturday, January 21st, which shows at 8 and 10 p.m. Go to GothamComedyClub.com for tickets.
Such a funny man. He's also a great actor, which is not the easiest. Those are two completely different skills, right?
Different skill set. And you didn't... I'll tell you this, pal. So when it first happened, where those two worlds meet, it was embarrassing because it was a single camera show I did, and you do a line, right? You would say something. I had a laugh line, and the director would go, "Cut. Okay, moving on." And I'm like, "That's it? Where's the laughter? I need reinforcement. Someone needs to love me now." You know? Because that's how you judge. I didn't know how to be in the space between the other actors. I knew to judge where I was by the energy coming from an audience. You know, 300-400 people coming at you, so you're coming in really hot when you don't know anything else. So that was a big adjustment.
Yeah, that's why, the Seinfeld show, of course, works in front of an audience, because comedy works well.
Yeah.
If people think it's funny.
And it's so much fun. I just did an episode of Kevin Can Wait, and we did it in front of an audience, and I haven't done 3 camera, and it's so much fun. It's like a little play. It's great.
Yeah. Kevin Can Wait, that's such a funny thing that he lined that up. He gets to shoot it on Long Island. Yeah. And he was doing it with his family and his friends.
Great.
And he's having a blast with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would, to do the commute, the thing about the job, the best time of the day is when you're on stage. The pain in the ass is getting there.
Yeah.
And the traveling. You know?
Yeah.
And the plugging, when is that? Friday and Saturday this week?
At Gotham? GothamComedyClub.com.
That's all the stuff that you actually get paid for. And then to do the show, you do it for free.
Yeah, and then and the anxiety, like you said, the OCD. And I get, if I don't write, at least, and I still write longhand, with a quill.
You write every day?
I try to, and I don't. And when I don't, the little guy in my head, the little guy beating me up, yells at me. Do you have an OCD thing?
I have one small one that is only leaving a hotel room. I'm sure I left something behind.
Yeah, I got that.
And I go back.
Yeah.
And literally it'll be like, I better throw the key inside so I can leave it behind.
Yeah.
And shut this door and I won't be able to get back in. And I don't think I've ever.
I got that with the car. Whenever my wife I drive myself to the airport, my wife gets in the car. I always put the window down because I'm afraid I'm going to lock the keys in the car. So I put the window all the way down just in case. And then I got to remember now because I got the keyless thing. If I leave with the key, the car's going to stall right there at LAX. So now I got to make sure I put the key there. Yeah. But I have, you know what's great when you go to a hotel? If you ever forget your charger, and if it's been a hotel, you go up to the front desk. Listen, I left my charger last time. You got a lost and found? And they just bring out a box. Pick one out.
All right, I will use that.
Yeah.
I just want to say I left 3 charges behind.
Yeah.
Last time I was here, I left 3 charges. This one, I left this one, and this one.
I was discussing this OCD thing with a friend of mine, and he said his one in particular is he has to check 150 times that he has his money on him when he's at the barber. But only at the barber, he's like,
am I going to do that when I was a little kid? I would always put my hand in my pocket to make sure the money was there.
And the wallet.
Because I was petrified that I was, the service had happened and I wasn't going to be able to.
But the interesting thing is, it would be the same at a restaurant. You could be like, oh God, do I have my wallet? But for some reason, specifically, worried about, I don't know what I'm going to tell this barber. I've lost my money.
I used to think that when I was a kid.
He's got scissors. I don't want to piss him off.
Yeah. A barber was such a strange thing for a kid, too, because it's the first time anyone ever asked your opinion. Ever.
Yeah.
When a barber would put a mirror up behind you and would say, does this look all right? And you'd be like, look, I'm a kid. I don't know.
I'm sitting on a horse. Okay? I don't want to be here. Yeah. You see the woman yelling? That's my mother. She's got the money. I can't help you.
They actually would. I remember being so little. They would put a board across this part of the chair.
Yeah.
So you would sit on that.
So you could sit higher in the chair. Yeah.
That's how little you are.
Yeah.
And then they're going, does this look okay? I don't.
My mother, we used to go to the Roman Den on Long Island, right? And these old gindaloons, they got all kinds of stuff hanging on the wall. Every haircut, you look like Wayne Newton.
Yeah,
it's true. I was a kid going, we should dye it black. Really, it's distinguished. I'm 8.
My friend's uncle used to have a barber shop, and he would always have something, in town that he would have, right? So somebody would show up with something, and he would start selling it out of the back. Something that fell off a truck.
Yeah.
And he would cut my hair, and he goes like this. Your mom like peaches? You tell her, I got nothing but cans of peaches back here.
Yeah.
And I would tell my mom, she goes, I'm not buying stolen peaches. You're fucking crazy. But everything else, you guys like thermometers? There would always be something odd.
It's always a weird thing. We had that at the car wash because the OTB was an old, remember the bagel locks?
Yeah.
With the round windows, looked like an old Red Lobster?
Yeah.
That's what they had next to the car wash. So you go to the car wash, you'd hang out at OTB, and we would go and say, and everyone, when you go through there, they're washing your cars. They go, hey, you need patio furniture? What? I got nice patio furniture.
Well, you could go
PVC pipe. It's not like the wood that warps in the rain. You can leave this out for days.
And then that would be it for them. Once that was done, you know what I mean?
On to the next
You couldn't come back later and go, I thought about the patio furniture.
Yeah, no, that was it. You had to get it then. It was like the old Soviet Union waiting online. What is it? Could be bread, could be pantyhose. We don't know. You just wait on. It's in town, and then it's gone.
Adam Ferrara's in studio. He's performing at Gotham Comedy Club in New York City this Friday, January 20th, and Saturday, January 21st, with shows at 8 and 10 p.m. Go to GothamComedyClub.com for tickets. And on Twitter, it's at Adam Ferrara.
Adam, when you're back, does the old neighborhood show up to see you?
Long Island, they do a lot. They'll come into some, my cousins will straggle into the kids, but when I'm out on Long Island, they all come, depending on who makes parole. They all come out. You talk about the barbershop and they're falling off a truck. My cousin, every Italian guy thinks that they're connected in some weird, especially when you're a kid. I was having trouble with this guy. I was a kid. And my cousin's like, you should make a call. You called me to pick you up. Who are you going to call? With all your influence, who are you calling? You live in your mother's basement. Who are you calling?
Yeah.
I don't know why or how they think there's some kind of cultural expectation that you can take care of stuff.
Right. And then, yes, what I want to be is indebted to people who break fucking legs as it is.
Yeah.
You know? No, I want to stay as far away from that lifestyle as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fucking frightening thing. Vito, you're a big Italian family, right?
Yeah.
Anyone connected?
No, but when I was a kid, I used to claim I was connected to John Gotti.
To John Gotti?
Yeah, with like I was in a Jewish neighborhood, so
that's healthy. That's real healthy.
You see,
I had a couple of older uncles that was like every time we had to take a picture, like, oh Jesus, another moment, and they would walk away because they couldn't get their. We never understood. You couldn't get their picture taken, and we didn't know. These were the same guys that would come to watch us play Little League in a 3-piece suit. They would just pull up. They're always in a suit. We're at a barbecue. They're in a suit. They couldn't see anything, and they would come over the house, and they weren't really uncles, or they were. We didn't know how they were related.
Yeah.
But they were, hey boys, I put something in the basement. Don't go down there for about a week.
But they couldn't have their picture taken because that would connect them to a time and place.
I don't know. Didn't want anything evident, not to be seen, not to be, you know. I have some of that. I think it's in the DNA because my wife, you know, especially with social media and the Facebook Live, and they go, you know, we people need to know, you know, where you are. I go, honey, Italians don't find surveillance entertaining.
It's true.
You know,
it's true. Now everyone's going, this is where I am right now.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah.
It's strange.
You also, because of that, you've taken out the possibility of lying to somebody about where you're going to be, like. If you have to go see a friend and it's their birthday and you tell another friend you can't do their thing, you have to be honest about everything. If you're going to be out and somebody's going to take a picture of you that you have no control of.
Yeah. Because of my job and the social media and stuff, you have to do it for work. It's like, I've gone past that. It's like now and I always like when I talk to friends of mine, they're like, I hate going out and doing this stuff. I said, you know, so I don't go out after the show. I go, I told them I was going to be here. I asked them to come. I started this shit. How can I be rude? Oh my God, what are you doing here? You told me to come. So it's actually now part of the job. But as far as the trying to get out of stuff, I'm just blatantly honest now.
Yeah.
I'm just blatantly saying, look, I got to come pick you up. I can't.
When I've already said a thing that I no longer go to weddings, and I've said that now for a couple of years. I just can't take it. I can't take it anymore. It's just exhausting. Somebody else's day.
Right.
It's a long day. The food is always bad. I go, I'm not going to weddings. And then the excuse always comes back, Daddy, please, you know, just this one time.
It's my wedding.
But no, you're funny to
walk me down the aisle.
Look, honey, in this day and age, this ain't the last time you're going to get married.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll be at the next one.
If I don't make this one, this next one. We wrapping this up, Chris?
Yes. Adam Ferrara is in studio. Yes. Adam will be performing at Gotham Comedy Club in New York City this Friday, January 20th, and Saturday, January 21st, with shows at 8 and 10 p.m. Go to GothamComedyClub.com for tickets, and on Twitter, it's at Adam Ferrara.
Fantastic show.
Always good to see you, my friend.
I've never heard anyone say, oh, I saw Adam. It wasn't a good show. Never heard that in my life. Very consistently funny.
Well, thank you, my friend. Always good to see you guys. Vito! You go now.
Vito, get the sausages and follow him out.
Stop looking at me. All right, walk in your car. It's not necessary. It is for me, funny man.
We'll see everybody again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!